That's his background.
When you think about it, let's bring in the
Who in history
Justice
has
Department.
done that as a president?
Nobody. And guess what? I think you'll agree with this. Had they been able to take his Twitter, his phone, he would have had 2 consecutive presidencies. Because I mean, he created enough turmoil himself to lose narrowly that
Right.
first time. You know, he would have had you know, because he shot himself in the foot, like in Georgia when he called up and said, "I just need
Right.
11,000 and how many votes?" Yeah. So, you know, these and the thing about Kennedy to me is he's not taken a medical course, has no medical degrees, and he told the Republican Senator Kennedy out of Louisiana that he would not dismantle this task force. And one of the first, he just did it a couple weeks ago. He dismantled
Right.
that task force. So he straight up lied about what he was going to do. And I don't know, we've never had somebody that had no medical background. I'm not saying he doesn't know anything. And I'm not saying that some of his beliefs don't have some truth to them. I think that, you know, everything doesn't have to be 100% straight scientific and medical, but
Well,
you
but you
can't
should
just
be able
throw
to
them
rely
out.
on people smarter than you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I'm with you on this. I mean, you got to rely on your advisors. You can have the ability to manage and supervise, but if you don't have people
Yes,
around you that know more than you, that or specialists
absolutely.
that you can
That's right.
refer to or defer to, then what's the point?
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense. You need to take all the information and you need to get it together. You need to go through it, extrapolate it, and go, all right, based on everything that's going on, even using the scientific method, as you will, you can go based on the patterns and everything we're getting out of all these tests. This is the direction we need to go.
It's
Can't
like
wing it.
with
You can't wing it.
you can. It's
Yeah, I want to make a quick political point here. Dirty Dude says there's their supreme leader fast tracked it, meaning the vaccine. This is the weirdest thing, and it kind of delights me to see MAGA kind of, tied up in knots about this. I remember Candace Owens basically going after Trump. Trump took the vaccine. Remember, he got COVID while he was in office, and he had taken the vaccine and some other experimental procedure or drug. And Candace Owens kind of dragged Trump for taking it. And he had to basically backtrack. He was, hell, I mean, he spearheaded the development of the vaccine. He should be proud. That's probably one of the only good things I would applaud Trump for in his first administration. But, he had to kind of kowtow to MAGA, people like Candace Owens. Now, here we are in the second term. And you know what? I think he has, pretty much got it in his head that there probably won't be a third term. Either age is going to get him or, just term limits. So he's a little bit more willing to, stand up to MAGA, and I'm using this Epstein episode is kind of, he raged. I mean, he wrote like a truth. He wrote like a few paragraphs on Truth Social. They were reading it on Right Side Broadcasting yesterday while they were waiting for the speech that he gave. They read all his tweets, his truths from the night before. This dude must like get naps during the day because he's up all night writing social media posts.
I
But
guess you don't. I guess you don't get much sleep as president, Stanley.
he probably sleeps during the day. He falls asleep in his lazy boy watching Fox News, I'm sure. The problem, the thing is that Trump, I actually think Trump has created, a movement that, in a way, I'm kind of impressed to see his base kind of assert itself. That gives a glimmer of hope that the movement might survive Trump. So, that's the only thing I actually think. That's really the only thing I'm taking from this Epstein episode. I don't really care about it. the only points is it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ghislaine Maxwell. I think someone said the other day on the news that if Trump had actually been smart, he would have just said, okay, y'all, I'm going to appoint a special prosecutor. And we know that process takes years. He could have just, made the motion of appointing a special prosecutor and just waited it out. But for some reason or another, it didn't come to mind. I'm sure somebody must have suggested it. But bottom line is that, he has kind of, told Pam Bondi to go through the motions. I'd be surprised if this judge unseals the grand jury stuff. Maybe the judge will. But it was pretty impressive to see MAGA go, oh, hell no. You're gonna produce something. I was kind of proud
I'm okay
of him.
with it. I mean, but I think you're right.
I don't care about the actual list or anything else. I'm just impressed. I'm more interested in the politics of it. I don't
think there is a list, Stanley. I mean, if you was a criminal child trafficking gangster like Epstein, why would you keep a list of evidence unless it was for blackmailing or something like that?
Well, I mean, that's why you would keep it, for blackmailing. I mean, he got off. I can't remember the details of it, but he was in hot water and got out of it somehow. So,
well,
let's see. But Stanley, now they walked away from it. So again, he punked them. Yeah.
Stanley, my biggest question about the whole Epstein thing is, like, when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was running against Trump, wouldn't that be a perfect time to dump the files if there was so much dirt on Trump in there?
Well, what if I tell you that I don't think either of them are I think they are morally superior to Trump, and maybe they wouldn't do something like that. I think the indirect comparison, why didn't Biden act like why didn't Biden do what Trump would have done?
Yeah.
I would think that Joe Biden's moral fiber has a tighter weft than Donald Trump's does.
Well, I think maybe Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel. So.
Yeah, well, I think that I could ask the question, why is Trump so reluctant to release it? Now, I actually think there's nothing there, but I don't really care one way or the other. But I could still ask the question. You're saying, no, hey, I need to no. I need to finish, sir. You're asking if Trump was on it, wouldn't Biden have been vindictive enough to release it? Maybe, maybe not. But if Trump is not on the list, then why is he not producing it? Either it doesn't exist or he's holding on to it. Either way, he has made promises he either doesn't intend to keep or can't keep. So his base has been suckered.
Remember, this is about 2 or 3
Can we
months
move
ago.
the chessboard a little bit, though, Stanley? Like, you know
what? For shits and giggles, go ahead. I don't care enough to really, keep playing chess. I've said what I said. Tulsi Gabbard, I'm surprised Tulsi Gabbard has even shown her face in public. I haven't heard from her in a couple weeks.
She's accusing the Obamas of treason. Fuck
her. She's lucky. You know what? All she's doing is trying to get the attention of Trump so he doesn't fire her ass.
Oh, okay.
Called the CDC because they were having this huge lead outbreak in their school systems.
I think she's calling on by a thread.
Okay, they called the CDC, and the CDC couldn't send anybody because he had come in and fired everybody that does lead remediation.
You didn't even know about that.
So those are the kind of things, our safety nets are just being ripped away from us, and there's going to be a price to pay, because in the end, we're still going to have to end up paying for all these people who just, but there's nothing preventative going on. And so those are some of the issues. And
so
then
it's almost like what was happening then is getting repeated now under his term. It's like they didn't learn the lesson.
And on steroids, because now he has a roadmap, Project 2025. Do you know that the guy that's over OPM, and I'm trying to remember his name, who's the principal architect of Project 2025, wrote that every time a federal employee walked in the door, he wanted them to feel terror. Now, what kind of human being says something like that?
Yeah, I'm familiar with. I didn't read through the whole 2025, but when all this was going around, I looked into it, and it's like on the surface, the whole thing was like it has this landing page like, oh, we're training the future leaders, and then it was really a book or roadmap of how to turn everything conservative and keep power. And yeah, I don't agree with the book or the tactics. I know JD Vance just says that he disowns or doesn't support it. I don't know if there was an actual connection between what Trump's doing in 2025, though. They've never really made that connection. But I mean,
I'm gonna suggest you go back and read it, and you will see a clear.
It's a parroting point.
I think that's a road.
That's all it is.
Following.
It could be. I'll look at it.
I'm
I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think that they've ever made that connection. But at the same time, who knows, man? You definitely could be correct. I could look into that and see what's happening. So, hey, it's all about learning things to get educated, right? I don't want to stay in the dark here.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's move on to what else you experienced, and obviously everything that happened with the way they were handling healthcare, for example, which greatly impacted you because that's what you did. You were working for HHS and trying to help people through this time period and this change. What about the? And I'm bringing this up because I did see it on some of your description in about the book. What was going on in terms of how you thought, or how a lot of people did, that the Trump himself, maybe, I don't know if it was the entire administration, they were actually believed to be racist, or a lot of things they said were racist or came across that way. And
yes,
I see how, because he has no damn filter, he doesn't. And I could see how that was taken back then, because look, there's a lot of times we're like, what did you say? And then now he's trying to turn the corner, but then I don't know. You can explain it better, I think, than I can, but because you experienced it from your perspective. What did you experience? What did you feel? And what did people tell you? More importantly, because I'm sure you got feedback from people that you worked with, and what they heard and how things were happening and what they heard in the community.
Sure. Yeah, I'll say this. When the justice marches really grew in intensity after George Floyd's killing, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Marbury, a bunch of largely unarmed black men in police stops, and particularly the public execution of George Floyd, 9 minutes and 47 seconds captured in broad daylight, which brought
white beater,
a broad range of Americans out into the streets.
George Floyd.
Well, for us, we had the only all-black
murder victim
career staff, the four of us that worked for the appointee. And I've worked with 3 different appointees under the Trump administration. And he made that the justice marches be about patriotism and the flag. And it was not about patriotism and the flag. It was about the over-policing of honor.
Wait, let me stop it right here. You forgot to add murder victim, 12th man. White beater, whatever else. He's also a murder victim. Right? George Floyd, I mean.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, I don't care whether you agree with it. The jury has
think he was murdered? I don't.
I think the jury thinks it's murder.
I think
and there is someone in my opinion is justifiably behind bars.
He couldn't.
Black man. And so when
he
like
couldn't breathe because
He
was
is
so high on
behind
drugs.
bars. A jury disagrees with you, 12th man.
Kaepernick took a knee, and that became a thing in the NFL. What did he say? Fire those sons of
Just
bitches.
like
You
the
know, he
Supreme
said,
Court
and he said when you arrested
disagrees with
people, he
you on a
wanted
The
lot
them to
of
Supreme
be treated
Court,
roughly.
the
And
Supreme
so
Court did not overturn the conviction, 12th man.
that's why
Well,
I
that's okay.
question his humanity.
Well,
I don't know if you know that back in the day, his family has been charged
must not have
numerous
had good
times
karma.
for
Wait, hold
discrimination.
it.
And
You want to sit down and you want to debate whether Chauvin was guilty of murder or not? Oh, okay.
Well,
I thought I heard you. I thought I heard you talking.
well, it's all
and
long
housing.
past anyway, Stanley.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just gonna let the results do the talking for me.
And some of their properties in terms of how they, discriminated against black people. I think and so for me, some of the things I saw, I could not help, but I had a job to do and I did it. I did it well, but I could not help but take some of that personally. I think he's the most divisive president that we've had in the modern era. Latinos were
Womp
rapists and
womp.
thieves, and the China virus, and the this thing against the squad, and the black run cities. He was very, very divisive. I don't remember anything that he did or said that was unifying. And people want to say he's stupid. I think he's
That's 'cause
brilliant
he
at what
is
he
a
does.
bug.
He's magnificent in being divisive.
Oh, I'm sorry, you were talking over the video. What did you say?
He said he can't hear anything that the administration is doing that is unifying because
Not.
his
Let me
fucking
tell
ears
you.
are
Let me tell
plugged.
you something. Let me tell you something right now. There is not a goddamn thing Trump has done in this 6 months that is unifying the country.
Well,
Not a
why is he at
motherfucking.
a
Not a. Nope. 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 Don't overtalk me. Not a motherfucking thing has Trump done to unify this country. He has done everything he can do to draw bright lines between the lunatic left and the people who are patriots on his side. He is not a unifier. He is a divider. And by the way, yesterday I showed J.D. Vance's speech at the Claremont Institute. There was some award or something he was accepting. J.D. Vance is talking some dangerous stuff. He and Trump basically want to change the nature of citizenship. Basically, Vance made a blood and soil type argument where citizenship is based on more on lineage. And the problem with basing it on lineage is it is very easy to have a hierarchy of citizenships. And I think that I basically the smack that JD Vance was talking, you're going to have to change the Constitution to do it. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Supreme Court does. But these guys definitely, you know what? If it smells like fascism and it's sounding like fascism, fill in the blank. When you start making blood and soil arguments about and changing the nature of birthright citizenship, you got to call it for what it sounds like.
Divisive and othering, making people see the other
What's up,
as
Richard? How you doing?
enemy, somebody else's enemy. And so for us, for example, one of the responsibilities we had was to try and locate and vet places that were willing to house these unaccompanied children in these camps from people that were separated from their families at the border. And I can see both sides of the immigration issue. I really can. I do think there needs to be a process and a procedure. But I also think that we can treat people as human beings And I think that people who want to come here, 90+% of them, probably 95% of them, only want to work hard, live a free life, make some money they can send home to their families. That's most people. And so we're rounding them up in the they're running in the fields away from police now, and they're at parks, and they're at laundromats working, and car washes, and they're getting rounded up. And most of these people, and they don't get a lot of the benefits, but they still have to pay taxes. So for me, when I saw the treatment of some of these people, it reminded
That's
me
what Karen Bass was complaining about. She couldn't get
much of the Jim
no
Crow
one to
era,
watch her
where people
talk.
were mistreated.
Okay, I'm sorry. What were you saying? You were talking over the video.
That's what Karen Bass was whining about, that she couldn't get no one to watch her talk or pick her vegetables.
Well, wait, hold it. They were talking about Karen Bass?
Well, that's what he was
I didn't
talking
hear
about.
them.
Like,
I didn't hear them.
cheap
I didn't hear
labor.
them. I didn't hear them talk about Karen Bass. Did you? What did I miss?
Because that's what he was talking about. Oh, they're washing their cars.
Okay, I
they're
didn't
picking
hear.
our vegetables.
He mentioned Karen Bass by name.
No. You
Okay,
don't
then
get
why
it,
are you?
Stanley.
Where are
Carry
you
on,
going?
motherfucker.
Where are you going with this? You're making shit up. You're putting words in the poor man's mouth. Yeah, I'm still in Savannah until tomorrow, Richard.
Oh,
And no,
yeah,
I
you're
haven't had
in Savannah today, Stanley?
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to go fishing. However, I did have dinner with my old fishing buddy and his wife last night. Me and my son did.
Oh,
So
nice.
that we talked, we told fishing stories.
Because they look differently. And to me, what makes America great
Yeah, I
is
was
the
talking
diversity
with
that we have.
907
It really
Goodies
is a
last
melting
night.
pot. And I'll tell you this, George.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. They sure are a
You
nice
haven't?
lady, got a nice family, and we were talking about fishing and all that shit. We might hook up eventually.
Yep,
Next time
I
I go
figured
to
you would.
Anchorage.
I figured you would.
I think a lot of white America, not a lot of it, not most of it by any means, maybe a third of it, is really concerned because this is becoming a minority majority country. And supposedly right around 2042-ish, it's going to be that. And I think that for some people who live in these monogamous, these homogeneous, they live in a society that's all white or all black or all it. You don't ever have an interaction with other people, and it's easy to demonize them and make them out to be the boogeyman and the bad guy. And I think that there is this element of white America that is afraid that they will be treated like other people have been treated in the last 150, 200, 400 years. And so there's that fear, and nobody wants to share power or share control, but that's the country we're moving towards rapidly.
Gotcha. Well, there is a power dynamic. There's going to be a shift,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's going to come from the Black community or the Latino community. It's going to be coming from those from the Middle East that are coming into the United States. You just look at statistics; they're birthing at a rate that is 2 to 5 times more than any other culture or race. Period.
Really, more than the Latino community?
Oh, yes, they are.
Okay.
So
I'm learning too. See, we got to all be willing to learn. Right?
If anything, it's going to come from that side. But what you said earlier is very correct. If you're living in a community that is all white, all brown, you're not doing yourself a service, because you're not really connecting with other cultures and other communities whatsoever. I've always had a different take because white guy. Here you go. But when I grew up, I was a minority. So the schools I went to, I was around all the gangs, all the Mexican gangs. My friends were black, they were brown. I didn't have a lot of white people around me. I was the one in fights every day. I was the one getting jumped. I was the one going through all that stuff. But it didn't make me hate anybody. You know, my friends are all Indian. They're all people from Mexico. I have black friends. Like, it doesn't really matter to me your skin color. But I also think that's a lot that has to do with a lot of the Gen X, the way they grew up, the way I grew up. Our generation didn't care. We were all thrown together because at that time we interacted with everybody. We didn't grow up to think that we should treat anyone else differently because of how you look. But somehow we got back to that now, and I don't understand why or how that happened.
Well, I
And
think
it's
that
very
Trump fosters that kind of belief, and kind of, again, it's fear mongering. It's like with the Willie Lynch back during the President Reagan era. You know, you can demonize people and you can put fear in people.
Well, I made a comment. It was either yesterday or the day before. um, Given the nature of the United States, you actually have to work very hard not to be, just kind of pulled under in the racist undertow that this country is constantly churning. It's never on the surface. It's always like a riptide below the surface. And you basically have to be a strong swimmer. And you have to basically and it does not matter whether you're black, white, it doesn't matter, the race. You literally have to keep your head above water. And a lot of it is, almost like, doing the reading, knowing the history. Um, I think every voter should have a decent idea of what American history is. And I think what people don't seem to realize is high school history isn't enough. Okay. If you want to sit down and you want to start talking politics
Excuse me.
or anything, if you're not actually cracking open a book or doing something to actually familiarize yourself with the arguments you want to make. And the reason I'm even going this deep into the soliloquy is last night I was in the audience of a channel. It was Truisms, and I heard
Truism.
people. I heard people up there talking. Basically, the premise was like race, um,
Mm.
and it was just it was the ignorance on display on that
What were
panel
they
last night
saying,
was
Stanley?
fucking stunning. Well, Orthodox, for some reason or another, seems to think that race is genetic. And he basically, for some
Oh,
reason or
yeah.
another, has convinced himself that he is some sort of genetic expert. And I'm like, dude, if you could only know how uninformed you sound. And then he talks about some guy that he's a fan of who is what did he say he was? He was a he was a race realist geneticist. And I'm like, you know what? Is he actually a geneticist? They sequence the human genome, and it's the people who did the sequencing who are saying, hey, if you go and you take a deep look, it's hard to know race. And there is no race gene. Phenotype is a bunch of different genes expressing themselves in different ways. That's why no two people are the same. I mean, all these expressions, genes express themselves uniquely in combination. So, all these people who want to talk about race being genetic, they're just hoping one day somebody will come up with something concrete. It's all racism. It's the system telling you that, gee, there must be a reason that there are achievement gaps and wealth gaps and all this stuff. And the thing is I think blaming it on genetics is actually the easy way out.
Yeah.
It's basically the easiest way to go, oh, hey, it's this complicated thing that nobody really understands. Instead of just saying, you know what, it's not one factor for starters. There are a lot of things that go into these disparities. But anyway, before I get too knee deep into it, um,
What?
I think
Stanley,
I
can I
think
say
I
something?
think the world. Hold on one sec. The world is not 1925. The world, just getting through high school. I kind of wonder if I took some kid from like 1901 and put him in high school today, that kid would be lost. So life
Mm,
is way more complicated than it used to be, just by the nature of technology and progress and all that stuff. You cannot just sit back and think And the other thing that's interesting is I was watching some. I guess it was Eric Foner the other day, that historian at Columbia. We were watching some online lectures he gave to a class, um, that Dunning School was like, taken as gospel up until like the mid 60s. And then people were going and discovering and reinterpreting and all this stuff. History is not a set of facts. The STORY part in history, that pretty much is it. History is interpretation of facts and events. It is not just a data set.
well,
Um,
history is always written by the victors, Stanley. You
It
know
doesn't
that?
really, you know what? But you know what? It's not always written by the victors. Okay.
And
A lot of
can you?
times you'll go back. A lot of history literally comes from diaries and farm books.
Right,
A
right.
lot of almost any, it doesn't have to be like, oh, James Madison sat down and wrote out the notes for the Constitutional Convention. There are a lot of inputs into history these days, maybe stuff that wouldn't have been considered 100 years ago. So I mean, just something as simple as the American Revolution has totally evolved and become more complex, um, compared to the story I was told when I was in K through 12. There are all
Mm,
kinds of things. It the American Revolution, just to take an example, is not a linear progression. There were all kinds of sidebars and forks in the road. Looking at what led to the revolution, what happened during the revolution, and the aftermath of the American Revolution, it's complicated.
well,
And to be
that
honest,
how the revolution
if you
how the
wanted to know about the
revolution
American
kicked off,
Revolution,
Stanley.
I'm sorry, what?
How the revolution kicked off was because they came after the colonial arsenals, like their guns. They came for the guns, and that's
Right.
when it
And
all popped off.
that all happened a year before the actual Declaration of Independence. So
That's right.
um it just I think if people, and that's the other thing, if you're going to come up to a panel and talk about genetics or race or history or whatever, don't just get up there and not know what you're talking about.
Well,
Most of
Stanley,
most of
I
the
think
people most of the people that I encounter, probably a lot of people come up blind, and they just think that, hey, what I have heard on Fox News is going to be good enough to sound
Stanley,
cogent,
I think a
and that's
lot of
almost
people
never the case.
they confuse racism with tribalism, and to me, that's part of the problem. Because a lot of that shit is just tribalism. Like when I'm talking to a
Okay,
brother
well, people
from another
people
color, I
confuse
don't really
people
see his race.
confuse
You know?
people confuse people confuse race, racist, and racism. Those are all related, but they're kind of different things. So when people say, "Oh, well, Stanley, all this racism you're talking," well, the ism suggests that it's actually a system. So when you say I'm talking racism, you probably mean, hey, you're talking like a racist. And, maybe the reason you believe what you believe
or
could be due to racism. But tribes and race tribe is more, more, when you talk tribe, you're actually talking more ethnicity than race. They're two different concepts.
Well, I think it's natural for people to want to go around their own kind and
Okay,
hang
and
out
see,
with them,
that's the other thing. That's the other thing that I have a problem with. It's not natural. Okay, it is natural as far as nurture goes. If you're raised around a bunch of people that look like you, yeah, you're going to be more comfortable around them. But that's not set in stone.
That's tribalism.
That's more how you're socialized or nurtured.
Yeah.
That's not like I don't think it's 100% genetics. And this thing about everybody's racist, it's natural to be racist, it's bullshit. And generally, I don't often do it, but I think what I'm going to start doing when people want to bring that everybody's racist canard up here, I'm going to start blasting them because everybody's not a racist. And
I'm
being
not
a racist,
racist.
okay, I'm not talking about you, 12th man. Basically, I don't believe that it's natural to be racist. There was a time when race didn't exist.
This element anyway, and especially one of the things about you, and you, as you grew up, George, you'll say this is true, I'm sure, because you spent time with all these different kind of people. You all saw each other's people. You all pretty much basically all wanted the same thing, and you see the humanity in other people. But if you don't know them, it's easy for somebody to paint them a different way. And one of the things that became normalized during the Trump administration was, do you remember Kellyanne Conway?
Yeah.
She talked about alternative facts. Now, things are true or they're not true, but so
yeah.
But that was, what I'm saying. Come on, what the hell is an alternative?
No, I agree with you. That doesn't make any sense.
And so I'm saying, now you almost don't know who or what to believe. And think about it. Back during the Spanish flu, just over 100 years ago now, 105 years ago, you could see pictures in New York and big cities where people were lined up for miles to get that shot because they believed their government. They trusted them. Who do we trust now? I'm saying we got to where you don't trust anybody. And that's a scary thing to be. And so what we found historically, George, is that great societies usually aren't destroyed from without. It's from within.
Yeah.
And you can see us headed that way.
What happened to the Roman Empire?
That scares me. Yeah.
They killed themselves. Same thing with the Greeks. It wasn't outside influence.
Yes.
The thing that's crazy to me about racism, this is what I hate is, and you see it all the time. You can get two babies, you film them, different skin colors. They're babies. They will play and interact. They don't even care.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the influence as they grow up that makes them that way. And it's sad that as humans that even still exists, that we would even have these biases and inflect into a young mind that you're supposed to look at this other person different. But I can understand it too, because if you're unfortunate to be of the race where you're always getting beaten and looked down on your whole life and throughout generations, it kind of does carry over. You have that distrust. So it's like trying to fix that. I don't even know how, but it's just there's a topic that I discussed with another person a few months back, and we went down this whole road and we were just scratching our heads as to like, why can't we get rid of this way of thought? Like, why? It would be so much better if we just looked at people as people, period.
Yes.
And I'm really just tired of, when I think things are settled, I open up, X or the news, it's like headline, another racial, like, come on, or are we still doing this? It's so stupid. Are we not past that? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't.
George, I'd like to ask something of you that you would have better insight than me.
Maybe.
On, and that is, there seems to be this syndrome of this angry young white man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that it's like, for example, black people in this country, and I'm talking in broad terms, but have been uncomfortable for kind of forever in a lot of ways. You know, nobody comes over this country to be like a black American. We're only the model if it's athletics or entertainment in some instances, but nobody comes. That's not the goal.
Yeah, you're right.
But
That's the stereotype.
but yeah. So now, though, when things might get a little tough for young white men who basically have been at the top of the pecking order for, you know, ever since Custer Road out west, you know, it, and then I think you see that rage being exposed in some of these incidents that we have. And
You know what? That's an interesting point that he makes. If you actually stop and think about it, Derek is like, well, the angry young white man, whites have been at the top. Well, you know what? That actually sounds like a be brave sort of thing. No, whites as a group might have been, but believe me, there are plenty of whites who have not been at the top of the ladder. And, there's a whole lot of, free association. And it was done throughout American history intentionally. You gotta, you know what? Actually, Lyndon Johnson made a comment. The comment about, basically saying that, the poor whites, oh, damn it. What was a quote? It's basically saying, if you talk them up and let them think that they're better, than black folks, you can pick their pockets or something like that. Um, Basically, what he's saying is, you let them think that they're part of, some elite club or something like that, but they're not really. And it always amuses me to see people like Be Brave. And Be Brave is kind of my archetype for the down and out white guy. Somebody has convinced him throughout his life that he's something special. And, he does have talent, but you know what? I look at Be Brave. If I looked at somebody living in the hood and I looked at Be Brave, to be honest, it would be hard for me to choose one or the other. I think Be Brave has a very selective field of vision for things like violent crime and stuff. He'll keep account every day about violent crime, but I have not, and I don't watch his show that much now that he's tossed me out. Last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, there have been 2 church shootings. Disgruntled white guy mad at his wife. And 2 times in the last 3 weeks, somebody's gone in on a Sunday during service and shot up the place. And I guarantee you, Be Brave hasn't talked about that. For some reason, he seems to be fixated on, hey, if it happens in the inner city, it's bad for America. Apparently, if a white person shoots up it doesn't happen often enough, to be an existential threat. You know what? I think it's an existential threat when some guy goes into a place of worship with kids and elderly people and all that and just shoots it up. That's some cold-blooded shit right there.
Yeah, I hate that, Stanley.
Well, what I'm saying is I consider somebody who could fucking shoot up a church with kids and,
What a
I
coward.
consider something like that at least as bad is, you know, indiscriminate drive-by type shootings. I mean, you
Yeah,
know
or
what a church, you know what a church is, and you know what happens in a church on Sundays, and you go in there
yeah.
anyway and you go in there anyway and shoot it up. That's some cold-blooded shit right there.
To me, that's as bad as like molesting a child or something.
Well, I mean, technically you are if you're shooting up, you know, if you're shooting up a church
Yeah,
with children in it. I think
disgusting, man.
that could pass as
I
molestation.
hate to think about that shit.
Yeah, well, my point is that Be Brave doesn't. He would rather be all racist and just be very selective about what
I'm
crime.
pretty sure it was a white
Okay,
boy
I
that
don't know
shot
why
it.
I can't get a let me get a thought
I'm
out.
sorry, Stanley.
I don't know why Be Brave has to be so selective, other than he is a racist.
Well, the white boy that shot up that church in Texas was white, so I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't follow that motherfucker.
Okay, Richard, you know what? I'm sorry, but I think frequency is basically an easy thing to glom onto. Um, I just think that hey, if you're gonna go out into the hood and just do drive-by shootings, that's one sort of cold-bloodedness. But I just think that going into a church on a Sunday is even worse.
It is,
And
Stanley.
it is very subjective. That's why I don't give Be Brave a lot of credence.
I mean, a lot of
Um,
those people would just give you money out of their own wallet.
okay, these guys
You know,
these guys aren't robbing churches. The last shooting, was it last Sunday? I think it was actually last Sunday. Um, the guy
it
was pissed
was.
off at his wife, and he went to the church looking for his wife. His wife wasn't there,
She
and he
wasn't
killed two
there.
people.
Yeah.
Okay, god damn it, 12th man,
I'm
let me get
sorry,
it out.
Stanley.
He went to the church looking for his wife. His wife wasn't there, but he still killed two people. I don't get it.
Didn't he injure some more, Stanley?
Yeah, I
Weren't there
think
like
I
three
think
or
there was
four
some other injuries,
injured,
but the bottom line to
something like
me, if your
that?
wife isn't there, just go away. You know, you don't have to stay and
Yeah.
kill two innocent people. He killed a young woman and her mother, and I just
Jesus.
don't know. I just don't know
Jesus
why
Christ.
why that doesn't make it into Be Brave's crime report, other than they were white.
Yeah.
Or the shooter was white. No, Be Brave Be Brave. Be Brave has been robbed of his dignity, but that's decades ago. So let's
very
get back to
true,
this video
Stanley.
here.
I'm setting you one in the back. I wanted to ask you what you thought about that judge.
Let's see here.
It's kind of a short, but it goes on for a minute.
Oops.
I don't know why I'm here. My life fell apart.
Well, I understand that these. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
What's wrong? Why you look so despondent?
I don't know why I'm here. My life fell apart.
What is this?
Well,
A TV? Is this a
that the
TV
city
court?
has cited you with multiple.
Yeah, just listen, Stanley.
Well, this isn't a real court, right?
Yeah, it's a real court. It's a city court.
I see. Oh, did I?
What's going on? Why haven't you taken care of your responsibilities in relation to these parking citations?
Well, that car was
I
something
need you to
else.
speak up just a little bit, ma'am.
That car
Mhm.
I was living in got towed. a couple weeks ago. So I've been living on the bench.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Oh, I'm sorry. You said that you have a car that you were living in,
Yes.
correct? And that the car got towed?
Yes.
Where was the car when it got towed?
Parents recently
park.
died.
It was at the park? Okay, where were you when this happened?
I was in the bathroom.
Okay. And you said you're living out of your car? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, you heard it correctly.
How long have you been residing out of your car, ma'am?
4.5 months.
4.5 months. That's a pretty long time.
Yeah. And this is
Okay.
not the first time this has happened. I don't have any
Wait a minute,
savings.
what, the first time that your car's been towed or the first time you've been living out of your car?
The towing.
Ma'am, do you have a job?
Yes.
Where's it that you work?
At the Mango Donut Shop.
Oh, okay. Mango Donut Shop. They have good donuts there.
I would assume so.
You know, you guys, I don't know if you guys used to do it, but when I was a rookie police officer, my training officer would take me there and give us a free cup of coffee and a free donut. Yes, that stereotype about cops and donuts, that is very true. The donut shop, are you a regular employee? You a manager? What do you do there?
I'm just like a server,
Oh,
cashier
okay.
person.
All right. Do you go to school, ma'am?
I'm trying to go back.
Okay. And what was your level of what were you studying?
I was getting my gen eds out the way.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I understand. So I have clarity on this. You're living out of your car.
Yeah.
You've been living out of your car for the past 4.5 months. Your car was parked at the park. You were inside the restroom and the car got towed. Now, the towing of the car usually falls under one of two categories. It's either A, you were parked illegally, or B, you accumulated quite a few parking citations and they took the car in hope that you would pay the citations.
Correct.
It's one of those two, and I don't have the record as to what led to the car being towed. I do know that your car is at the Mango Park tow yard. That much I do know. So I guess my question to you is, and not to get too personal, what's going on with you? Because you're very
A lot is going on right now. Okay. Both
Do
of my
tell.
parents passed away 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment we buried them, everything just fell apart. I don't even have tears in my eyes because everything has just gone away. I don't have a house anymore. I don't have health insurance. The only thing I had left was my car.
So, ma'am, you say you work at the Mango Donut Shop, correct?
Yeah. Yes. So I work.
Okay, let me ask, is this the only employment that you have?
Yes.
So you don't have
Yes.
another
I don't
job?
have anything. I had to ask my coworker for clothes so I can look presentable for today. I've been trying my hardest to do things the right way, the righteous way. I'm trying to go to church and not do fraud. And I'm tired. I need some
This
type
is
of
a
help.
real
I don't
court?
know. Go, whatever.
You sound like you're at the end of your rope.
I am.
Why do you sound like you're ready to give up? That's where I'm lost
Then
at.
where am I going? A year ago, everything was fine. Within the matter of 6 months, I lost everything. I don't get it. Is this punishment?
Punishment from who?
I don't know. You tell me. I've done everything right and I'm here in court, in trouble.
You're here because the city says you haven't paid your parking tickets.
Focus.
Well, are you able to pay these tickets with
No, I'm not able to pay anything. I eat donuts because I don't have any other food.
Are you able to get your car out of the pound?
No.
So because you can't pay for your citations and because you can't pay for your car to get out of the yard and you're living out of your car, and you admitted earlier that your place of sanctuary is the public park and you're sleeping on a bench.
At this point, I have to, yeah.
If you're living on a park bench and you're still getting up and you're going to work, you know what that tells me about you?
What?
It tells me that you haven't given up. Now, you feel that you're at the end of your rope, and sitting here and listening to your story, it sounds really bad. It sounds really bad. But what you haven't noticed about yourself, this is what the beauty of people looking in and you're looking out and I'm looking in, you haven't given up on yourself. Because if you did, you would say, you know what, I'm not going to work.
Okay, but what do I have to show? What do I have to show? I have no degree. I have no car. People look at me like I'm in disgust.
Well, you know what? You know what I say? The hell with them people. Are they helping you pay your bills? Are they helping paying these citations? Are they helping you get your car out of the pound? Hell, are they helping you find a job where you get better pay? Because if they are helping you with those things, that's one thing. But if they're not helping you, they are not in a position to judge you about a damn thing. If you're not going to help me, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Okay, people love to judge, they love to criticize, and then you'll say, well, you know what? Can you help me just a little bit? You know, I'm not asking for a lot. I just need a little bit of help to help get me over the hump, you know, but they will criticize and judge you. And we see it all the time. How many times you see people walk past people who are homeless and they say, oh, look at that guy.
Okay, but Judge Porter, you can say all these things and hop into your Bentley and then drive home into your mansion. And I'm still stuck here paying these damn fines.
I don't have a Bentley.
Oh my God.
I don't live in a mansion. I see what you're saying. You say I'm looking at the bench. Life must be good for you and all these things, and that's great. But let's go back to what I said earlier about helping. Okay, I'm a firm believer in helping. I'm a firm believer in giving out justice, okay? But I believe at the very core of everything I do and everything I say, it's about helping, okay?
So how can you help me?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because your living situation is kind of jacked up. Let's see what I can do. I'm gonna see if I have power to do something. Give me 1 second. See if I can do something here.
Need more
Sanchez.
judges like this.
Porter.
Then.
Yes,
I'm sorry, what?
We need more judges like this.
Okay, this is not real.
You don't think it's true?
No. I mean, what judge would be on his iPhone in the middle of a court session? He would
Maybe
call a
city
recess.
judge. I'm thinking
No.
city judge.
There is no
might
way,
do that.
dude. There is no way a judge would be on his iPhone in the middle of a court session. You call a recess. I'm not even a lawyer, and I know that. I mean, that's
Things aren't necessarily that formal at the city level.
Well, I don't
At
think.
the city
I don't
level,
think.
a judge might call someone from his phone.
That is hard for me to believe. I mean, there's a certain dignity that comes with wearing the robe. I don't care whether
So
it's,
you think this is all fake?
well, Richard found this dude's IMDb page.
Those look like, well, if you play it some more, then those look
Well,
like
I mean,
real tears coming out
we're
of her
we're more than halfway through it, so might as well watch the rest.
Look like real tears coming out of her eyes.
Well, I mean, actresses have been known to cry real tears. I mean, it's a skill.
Mm. Yeah, and I heard tricks
Oh wait,
like
hold on, I got to turn the volume back up.
So the manager
They-
over there at the
they would
Park
put
Hotel?
onions under your eyes
Yeah.
to
Look, I need
Well,
you
I
to
think
do
it's
me a favor.
I think it's like
I
a
need you to get in
method thing or
contact with
something.
him. I have a young
Some
lady in my
people
court
cry on
who
demand.
is homeless. and I want you to get in contact with him and see if you can make it
Don't
where
you know
she can
any-
stay there for, I don't know, the next 3 months. Yeah, tell your brother I'll pay for it out of my pocket.
Oh,
All right.
hey,
Her
Judge
name is
pulled out of his pocket.
it's Nina Brown. As a matter of fact, have your brother call me in about 2 hours.
Okay, I gotta start asking questions. If this were real and he's paying for it out of his pocket, you know, I've always considered myself a pretty good guy, but even I would be like, she's not bad looking. Maybe if I pay for this, and I
Come on now,
once
Stanley.
I hang up the robes this evening, I'll
You're
meet
a
you at the
nasty man,
I'll
Stanley.
be meeting you at the donut shop.
You're a nasty man, Stanley.
Hey, you know what? I am a man. Hey, let me tell you, years ago, I was up in Atlanta from Savannah, closing down a warehouse up here over on the other side of Atlanta. And you know what? I had to hire some temps. And I had to do the interviewing. So, I don't like doing that sort of thing, but it fell to me
Right.
to interview the temps. Well, you know what? This girl came in and I knew instantly, oh yeah, this is gonna happen. So hell yeah, I hired her. And you know what? After probably after like 2 days, I mean, I was living out of a hotel, one of these extended stay hotels with the kitchen and everything. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
after work, I'd meet her over at her place, and we were going back to my place, and I hired my girlfriend. It's one of the most decrepit things I've ever done. But dude, I was 32. You know what? She looked good. So the last day, we shut the warehouse down. So like the last day, I'm walking out of the warehouse and she's right behind me, and we get into my car and drive away. You should have seen the jaws that were dropping. Oh, these guys thought I was the biggest fucking nerd. You know how people don't like their managers anyway, but they thought, yeah, that's Stanley.
You're kind of a nerd.
That's Stanley. Hey, that Stanley's a square, but guess what? Guess what I'm driving away with right now? That's one of my favorite stories. So anyway, that's why this. If I were this judge and I was paying to get her car out of impound, I just don't know how the thought has.
You didn't have to pay that, Stanley. You just dismissed it. That way she could get her car
Hey,
out for free.
She had a real job.
But not listen to the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm about to do that.
Getting her a better job.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye. You have a place to stay for the next 3 months. Imagine that.
Whatever.
Now, here's the thing. In those 3 months, I'm assuming that you can save up some money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And get a spot somewhere with air conditioning.
Well, hold on, because you asked me, what can you do? Remember, you stood up there, you said, what can you do for me? Ah! Remember that? So here's the other thing that I can do. The parking violations, I can have that canceled. I can have that thrown out. Okay. When court is over, I'm going to get in contact with the Mango Park Yard and have them throw out the amount that's owed for the tow. So when you go down there, you can get your car back. So now you have your car. You don't have to pay the parking citations. You have a place to stay. Now, here's the other thing.
Where's the place she's staying? The car?
I'm getting my general education credits.
I don't know how much they pay at the donut shop, but I do have a friend in human resources for the city of Mango Park. I have a feeling that if I contact that person, because I know they need a clerk position filled, I'm pretty sure if I contact that person and put in a good word for you, you can probably get employment. And you know what comes with that employment? Benefits. things like health insurance, dental,
You know,
vision, things of that nature.
You know what comes with that job? Me. What's under these robes?
The children, the
You're
city
terrible,
pays for that. So that doesn't come out of your pocket when you're a city employee. That sounds like a good deal to me.
Yes, it does.
So the question that you gave me was, what can you do for me? So now I've done my part. I've shown you what I can do. My question to you, young lady, is what can you do for this court?
So you could look up.
What can you
That's
what
how
do you
that's
have
how
to
they
offer?
found him on
I know you think
IMDb.
you're at the end of your rope. You think you have nothing to offer.
Judge Porter.
But now you do have something to offer. Actually, you have something that you have to give back in return. You have to live up to this opportunity that you've been given. That is what you have to do. You said that no one helps and all this other stuff and people judge. Well, I am Judge James Porter. And now I am judging you for the opportunity that you've been given to make good on that.
He's not fake.
Okay.
Of course, yes.
You got 3 months rent free. Save your money. Maybe you can find a place. Maybe you can't. I don't know about how that works. But now you have a chance. And all those people out there who are criticizing you and looking down on you, like you said, this is your chance to show them, I don't need none of y'all. I got this. And once you start to succeed, funny thing is, those same people will come back and say, hey, girl, how you doing? I knew you'd do all right. And then you know what you do? You could tell them to kiss. You know what? I can't say that in this court, but you see where I'm going with that, right?
Yes, yes.
So now that all that has been resolved, I'm pretty sure you need a ride to get to that location. I will call you a ride share and get you over there to that hotel.
Thank you.
I thought he
Any
was going to
questions or
offer to give her a ride.
No, thank you so much.
Don't you ever give up on yourself like you did
Well,
today.
he's probably got other cases
Ever
to
do that.
attend to.
No matter what, you
Yeah.
fight
Yeah,
through
I
it.
bet he does.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right. Your court is adjourned.
Well, here is the judge on a day off.
Hmm.
So
I love the way he helped that girl.
the judge has a side gig. So there he is playing a cop. He said he was a cop. Well, here he is when he was a cop.
Let's see it.
No, I don't want to play it because this might be some sort of copyright thing.
Oh,
I don't want to risk it. It looks like an actual TV show. So what was I playing the other day? I played a little, huh?
He has
Yeah,
his
he's
own
played.
TV show.
Yeah, he said his real name is Vern Alexander. He's known for Attraction Man.
Vern Alexander.
Yeah, Ashes of Eternus, 2023, and Caves Fable. So he definitely has. Here's some other pictures of him. Here's a picture of him with his little chihuahua.
Oh,
So there we go.
love the job.
That was some
I'm
sort of
thinking I
TV
might
court.
get a chihuahua soon.
I see. Well, anyway, so no, it's not a real court.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I guess
Seems
we'll go
like
back.
it should be. Shouldn't that be how they operate, Stanley?
Well,
Like
it's
trying
just,
to help people instead of lock them up and all that shit over.
I don't
dumb
think, you know
shit.
what, having to come out of your pocket, that's really not, that's kind of like an ethics thing. You don't pay for, people in your courts like bills. It just doesn't look right.
Right,
I mean, like, what was the first thing I thought? Well, if I was the judge,
right. I'm gonna have that girl over here for dinner, right?
That's
Stanley?
right. There's going to be an extra set of legs sticking from under my robe.
I just wondered if you had any thoughts about that. It's
I kind of, well, I do and I don't, because I'm not necessarily young anymore. I guess I'm in that mid part, right?
right.
But I can see the frustration from both sides. I mean, the same thing that frustrated the black man for being, held back. Think about the time when, black men were very successful. There was a time they were able to do whatever they wanted to do and make money. And then the mortgage companies were redlining them. So you couldn't even buy a house, or you couldn't get in a certain district or in a certain area. So I think the frustrations are shifting. Now, it's not as bad for white people, but I think what happened and what you're saying is that I think the newer generations, they weren't brought up under that. Okay, they're just being exposed to what they're told is going on or what happened. And I think there's an older generation that will not let it go. And all of these feelings and everything just getting drummed up, and they don't know how to deal with it. And so I think that possibly, not speaking for everybody, but possibly some of the younger white men, as you're saying, maybe they do feel frustrated because they're trying to do the right thing, but every time they do, they're being reprimanded for not doing the right thing the right way. And there's no place for them, they feel, But then that's also the sentiment for anybody of any color economically right now. You can't afford to buy a home no matter who you are. But when it comes to the racial argument of what we're talking about in terms of race, I think what it is, they just feel that there's nothing they can do that'll be right. Okay. If you want to confront a person of color about something, if they have let's just be honest, I don't care what color, if you're doing something stupid, why can't you be corrected? Why can't you just say, hey, you know what?
Absolutely.
And I don't think a young white kid can do that. If they see a black man or a brown person or whoever, if they see a Mexican, it's like, well, I'm a white guy. I don't know if I could actually comfortably go over there and, say something, because all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're being a racist. What are you doing? And that's what's been going on. So I can see why they're feeling frustrated.
I think that's a partly a generational thing, George.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, for example, like say, if I'm riding downtown to an event or something on the bus, and if I see these young guys, and they're usually black guys in where I live in Atlanta, one of the black cultural meccas, and they're, pants are halfway down their butt, and they're cussing, and I'm there with my wife or my daughter, I wanted to ask them to can you have some respect? But I might get shot or cut, and so as 30 years ago, they say, yes, sir, my bad, so and so. But today I may get cussed out or jumped on or anything. So yeah, I mean, you're right. That's the society that we have devolved to, unfortunately. But what I will say, and I'll ask you this, I haven't seen, it does happen every once in a while, but you don't usually see young black guys going into grocery stores, killing 12 people, into churches, into Kmart's, into these places. That's into synagogues. That's what I'm talking about. That whereas, I'm not happy and hell, you're not gonna be happy either.
Yeah, I can address that a bit. First off, we already know white people are crazy, so whatever. But anyway.
Oh my goodness.
No, I don't know if this is true in the black community. But with white people, let's just be honest, they're hooked on pills. Period.
Okay.
I think pharmaceuticals is the issue.
Well, thank you for saying that, because that's revelatory to me.
Every kid, most any white family, you go to a doctor. If they're not interested.
Sorry, what?
If you get good weed, you don't need pills. So I'm not sure what this guy is talking about, like white people and pills. Like
you haven't heard of the opioid? You haven't heard of the opioid epidemic?
You mean the fentanyl?
No, the opioid epidemic It was literally declared like an emergency.
Yeah, I think fentanyl is a lot worse than opioid, to be honest.
Well, I'm sure it is, but I mean the Sackler family, they literally like um what was it? I think they got fined some ungodly amount of money
Yeah,
because of
big
oxycodone or
pharma,
oxycontin or whatever it was. I mean, this has been
the
something that's
ones
been
you
going on for
trust to
years.
make your vaccines for you.
I remember this is some years ago. The doctor had prescribed me oxycodone, I think it was.
Yeah,
Because I actually had it was the VA. You know, I was in a lot of pain. You know, I had a hip issue, and
yeah, nothing
I
wrong
was
with
down at
that.
the. I was. Oh, this is like 10 years ago. I've had all kinds of hip problems. I got like chronic joint issues, but it's under control with medication. It just took them a
Yeah, I
while to
got
diagnose it.
arthritis in my hips, Stanley.
Well, it's autoimmune. I have to take pills, but anyway, the I was living up on the mountain, and you know, at the base of the mountain, there's your beer store, and you know, they of course knew me well. So anyway, I was talking to one of the cashiers, and she said, "Oh man, I wish I'd known. I'd have given you like $20 a pill." I'm like, "What?" You know, I guess I was so naive. I'm like, "Do people do that?" Well, it turns out they do. But I wasn't going to
Just
give. I
over the
wasn't going to.
counter.
No, it was prescribed.
Oh
I
yeah,
wasn't going to
you
give.
had a prescription. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to give her my pain pills. I'm in pain. Why the fuck would I? Why? I'm sorry. These pills are worth more than the money you're going to give them for me.
That's right.
Plus, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to. I'm not going to contribute to the delinquency of an adult.
In what you're showing them, or they're not doing something a certain way right
Yeah.
now. They all of a sudden they got ADHD. They have something
You're a
else.
good man.
They want to put them on a
Stanley.
pill, then that pill has another effect. They
No,
wanna
I
put
was
them
in
on
a lot
another
of
one.
pain.
I think
In a
we're
lot
in
of
this
pain.
this very strange
Except
cycle,
you would have
perpetual
taken that young
manipulation of
girl
the
under
chemistry of
your
your brain.
roof.
To be honest, and
Sorry, Stanley. I couldn't help it.
Well, that's the scary part of it. She wasn't some young 20-year-old. She was my age. You know, what the
Shit.
fuck is
That
the fuck
girl,
is the fuck is
she
some
looks
old
like
woman?
she's probably 20 years old, bro. Come on, man.
You know what? I'm sitting here. Apparently, Ruby has gotten a gerbil or something, or a hamster or something, and she has.
I figured.
And she's gotten apparently this gerbil or this whatchamacallit.
She's a nutcase.
It's triggered her. It's triggered her maternal urges. So it looks like she's bought a cage, and she's got like a little throne or something right here. Look at the size of that. Look at the size of this.
Atmosphere.
This gerbil has a McMansion.
Goddamn rodent. I hate rodents.
Well, she's named the gerbil or the hamster Cinnamon.
Are you sure she isn't a dude?
No, I've seen her last week in a bathing suit. She's not a dude. And she's got like bunny ears on her head. What the oh, she has gone.
She's fucking loco, Stanley.
Oh wow.
I like Lola and Ava, but Ruby is too much.
Now, did the hamster tear something up or what? That cage is
Probably.
the that
That's what
thing that
rodents are good at. Tearing shit up.
well the
Um,
thing is the hamster can walk between the bars of the cage. That cage, it's a cage in name only.
Yeah, Cajun name only.
Oh my god. Oh,
Pretty
that poor
soon
gerbil.
she'll have them all over the fucking house.
I don't know. Maybe
I
just put him
can't
back in his
stand
room a
women
lot.
like that. Gotta have little fucking rodent in the house.
Well, you just put him back in his cage. I can still have the cam. I can still have a cinnamon cam.
Wait, hold it. It's an act. Why is she wearing bunny ears?
It's like outside of it right now.
Cause she's a psychopath.
She's got a pretty flat. She's got a pretty flat tummy there.
Cause she's a former crackhead methadone patient.
Good boy.
Hey, I don't care.
Good boy. All right, that was a lot of excitement. Let's get you back in your cage here.
This is strange. This, oddly enough, this is one of the stranger things I've seen online.
Can't believe her landlord lets her get away with having a rodent in the fucking house. I'd be kicking her
I think
ass
she-
out if
I think
was
she
John
just-
Galt.
I think she just got it. I think she just got it a couple days ago.
Be a good angle.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. If I was a landlord, I wouldn't allow that. No fucking way. Not gonna get a goddamn rodent and have it in the house.
He likes to be burrowed.
No. Sorry.
Well, this is
Your eviction
oh, it got-
notice.
so that thing got into a tissue box or something.
They get in everything, Stanley. That's what rodents do. What the fuck you talking about, homie? Shit. I bet you John Galt would kick her ass out, too.
Take a break from cinnamon.
I reckon.
Like, if you want to live with rodents, then go live on the street with the rats. You'll have plenty of pets down there.
All right, I need some fucking Dunkin' Donuts. I need some Dunkin' or something. Oh, let's put on my new shoes.
If you want pets, go buy your own land.
Excited for my new shoes.
You can have whatever you want.
Look at what an upgrade. Busted, broken, ran through. New, clean. Yeah, I need some major caffeine and then for real. Yeah.
It's like a low rent version of Bridget Jones' Diary. All right. You know what? This is a little too voyeur for me.
Okay.
Yeah, she's weird,
I
Stanley.
need this for water.
Is she?
Yeah, I think she's pretty weird.
Well, if you think it, she must really
Yummy.
be weird.
All right, now I need to put in a quick little Dunkin' order. Sorry if I have been missing like all the chats. Oh my gosh, there's a super chat. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Oh, thank you for the $2. He said cinnamon is so freaking cute. I freaking Beth deleted her Discord too much. Oh, she did. I mean, honestly, understandable because that's where everything just gets like too much. Like everyone is just,
Stanley,
like,
did you watch any of that Vegas stream they did
and personal and
last
Any
time
what?
they were in Vegas?
Mommy's
No.
Joe's.
Like she was always
Mommy's
lagging behind.
Well, I did catch
It
a
was
couple.
mostly Lolo and Ava. And like,
I did catch some of the Charleston trip. I don't know. I did. It wasn't that captivating to me.
yeah, oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why. It just. I mean, it was just like kind of boring, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember you were saying they weren't going to none of your favorite spots or whatever.
No, I don't know. I just think that maybe I've just been watching too many travel shows on TV or things like Anthony Bourdain. You know, when you do something like that, you want to go to like nice restaurants, you know, stuff that people would really be interested in. And I'm sorry, walking, you know, some downtown Charleston trying to interview people just isn't that riveting. You know, now I think it's kind of interesting that, you know, three like YouTube quote personalities, you know, meet up, you know, that doesn't happen too often. So, but I don't know. It was just, I don't, you
Well,
know,
they
the
did.
term I want to use for it would probably be kind of insulting. So I'm
To
not
their
gonna, I'm not
credit,
gonna,
they did show some nice Charleston architecture while they were
right.
there, but then you're right. You know, they went really downhill from there. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it would have been all like touristy, you know, like, you know, you basically showcase the city and you in it, not the other way around. So, I just, I was underwhelmed. I'll just put it that way. You know, they did
But
not
she's
exude.
drinking a beer.
I don't
Is
know.
she back in Seattle? I think
She
that's
lives in
where she lives, right?
no,
She
Ava's
lives
lives
over
in
there by Ava.
No, she actually doesn't. I'm pretty sure she lives in Connecticut.
Really? Damn.
Yes. Polish the knob. Yeah, all right. Well, let's see what else is on YouTube.
I thought she lived close to Ava since they're both former methadone clinic.
Oh, you know what? Actually, Trekkie put this EAE. You know what?
I got
EAE
something here.
wanted me to show the rest of that the rest of this thing, and then he wanted me to show something. Guys,
Is my mic still working?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute. EAE wants me to watch the rest of this Ezra Klein Epstein thing where they get into QAnon. And then he sent me another video, like it's called like QAnon Moms or something. So EAE recommends it. So we might as well watch it, I guess. You know, if EAE says you got to watch this, then we probably got to watch it. he is our impresario.
Will Summer, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to begin in the dominant conspiracy theory of Donald Trump's first term. What, for the uninitiated, was QAnon?
Sure. So QAnon, in sort of a nutshell, is this idea that Donald Trump was recruited by the military to take on this sort of pedophile cabal that runs the world, or, you know, what we might also call the deep state. And Trump supporters got this idea because of someone named Q, who was posting online starting in late 2017 with these kind of cryptic messages. And then they would decode them. And that's really sort of what formed the basis of QAnon.
They would decode.
To the extent QAnon developed a fully fleshed out mythology,
Who in the fuck
tell me
is
what that
QAnon?
story was. Who was in it? I mean, what did
Nobody.
Wait, did you just ask who QAnon was?
Yeah, like I never seen one walking down the street or anything.
Uh-huh.
serious QAnon believer by late 2020 believe was going on?
So they believe,
Another
QAnon believers,
funny
they believe basically that the world is
organization
full
made
of
up by
symbols and horrors that they can decode. And what they come to believe is that powerful elites sexually abuse and murder children in satanic rituals, and they drink their blood, or the substance called adrenochrome, to stay, that they kind of that exists but not in the way they think it does, that they believe is a sort of fountain of youth. And so that people with talk shows or bankers and celebrities, they are just regularly drinking children's blood to stay young forever. And so QAnon, needless to say, had become very complex and baroque. But they also believed, just really random, crazy things. Like they believed, that the government was controlling the weather through chemtrails, clouds in the sky, or they believed that if a celebrity wore red shoes, relatively common color of shoe, that was a symbol that they drink children's blood. So there was this whole universe of beliefs that they had about, sort of nefarious things that the cabal had done.
When you say it like that, it sounds a little hard to believe.
Shit.
It does. It does.
So what gave...
Okay, 12th man, I know you're probably thinking your commentary is entertaining. It's not.
Well, you're playing complete lies.
Okay, so what? So what I'm playing means, okay, dude, are you telling me that you can come up on somebody's panel and because you think it's bullshit, you're just going to be disruptive? Well, dude, this isn't fifth grade. So either watch the video on mute and then tell me when you want me to stop it so you can comment, or just watch it from the audience. But there comes a time when you got to put on your big boy pants and act like an adult.
Well, 907 Goodies just went live, so maybe I'll go over there.
Have fun.
Brass, but really he's at war with this essentially satanic forces. And when he wins, you're going to own your apartment for free. Your car loan's going to be canceled. Diseases are going to be cured. So you can see there were other things. There were religious elements, a lot of stuff that kind of matched up with what was going on at Fox News at the time. And so I think there was a lot of appeal to people. And plus, it was kind of a game. There was a community of people decoding the clues together.
I also think one dimension of both QAnon and then Epstein, which has more texture of reality to it, is that if you think back over the past few decades, there are a huge number of sexual abuse scandals that really did have cover-ups, that really did exist in forms of common and elite knowledge,
Joe Biden,
that really were grotesque. I mean, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, the Catholic Church pedophilia scandal. More recently, we have the Diddy parties. That on the one hand, QAnon has this outlandishness to it.
Stanley.
And on the other hand, when you think over this period, they're actually...
Stanley, 300,000 children went missing under Biden, and there wasn't anything or anyone that cared about that. But now that they're finding a lot of migrant slave children at work at like illegal pot farms and shit like that, then now they got something to say, right?
Who is they? Dude,
Protect our tomato pickers.
Oh, motherfucker. You know what? This devil's brew.
Joke.
This devil's brew has made you think you're the man.
I am the man.
How many beers does it take for you to get all bold like Be Brave? Apparently a lot. But dude, you don't know who you're fucking with. I'm trying to be nice. So if you really feel like you can't contain yourself, it won't hurt my feelings if you drift off and go somewhere where that behavior is acceptable. I mean, you honestly won't hurt my feelings.
Dang, I thought you were my buddy.
Dude, I'm your buddy, not your babysitter.
A recurrent pattern of networks of powerful people, or at least individual powerful people, abusing women, usually, although in the Catholic Church scandal, it wasn't only women. And it's not just covering it up, but it being known by other powerful people who did nothing about it. The idea that you cannot trust the elites to police this, there is truth to that.
I think that is why in these scandals, these sexual abuse cover-ups, is part of why QAnon is so powerful and resonant with people, because people see something true in it, and something that is really real. And so, from my perspective, talking to QAnon people, I often feel silly saying like, you know, do you really think an institution would cover up sexual abuse to protect itself or to avoid embarrassment, even at the cost of more children, more women being abused? I mean, obviously we know that does happen. And so in a way that I think if you just said there's a cabal and it's, putting in green energy, or it's offshoring jobs, or it's keeping taxes high, I think a lot of people, particularly the often sort of apolitical people that were activated by QAnon, I think they wouldn't care, understandably. But when you say that like the absolute worst things are happening that you can imagine, and those people are going to get away with it, and they rule over you, I think that really resonates with people.
I want to hold on something you said in there, that after this satanic pedophile cabal is arrested, maybe your rent will go away, maybe your disease will be cured. There's a version where there isn't a lot of political import to this, that there's a terrible crime happening and it needs to be stopped. And the final step in the stopping of it is the arresting of all these, the arrest of all these child molesters. But there's a politics to Q, a sense that on the other side of it lies something for you, the normie or normal or average reader of 8chan, the average MAGA supporter. Explain that part of it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you point that out, because that is sort of the utopian or like messianic aspects of QAnon. I think were often underplayed at the time. There was a moment in QAnon that,
like, isn't that what ICE is doing? Uncovering a lot of these child smuggling organizations? Isn't that what the FBI is doing now, instead of targeting peaceful people in Homer, Alaska? I mean, aren't they going after them? More fentanyl.
To be honest, To be honest, I actually don't know what they're doing. I know I did a story yesterday about a 40 an Iranian mother who'd been in the country for 47 years in New Orleans. They picked her up while she was gardening in her garden, and Steve Scalise, the majority leader in the House, intervened on her behalf to get her out. They were going to deport her. Now, this woman had been in the country for 47 years, and her agreement was that she check in with the department, with the immigration department on a regular basis. Apparently, she'd been doing this for like 40 some years. And just so happened that she was really popular in her neighborhood. Now, these people, she was connected. I mean, she had a couple congressmen. One of them, the majority leader in the U.S. House, intervened with ICE directly for her. So, but the thing is she had a legal status. She had been checking in per the agreement. Her child is a U.S. citizen. Her husband is a U.S. citizen. Now, I don't know why she, after 47 years, is not a U.S. citizen, but she's been here. Maybe she came as a child or something, because I don't think she's much over 60. So I don't know what her background is, but whatever it was, Steve Scalise, who's a bigwig, he's in the House right now. He is number 2 to Mike Johnson. So, now my problem is that had she not had a, sitting congressman running interference for her, her butt would be gone. I have a problem with that. Why does she get special treatment? But it is what it is. But
well, I guess because she's been here so long.
Okay, well, my point is that no, they're not going after children. They're going after 60-year-old grandmas. She hadn't committed a crime.
Released, so I don't see what the problem is.
She got released because the number 2 in the U.S. House of Representatives interceded on her behalf.
Well, that's a good thing.
And I have a problem that she got special treatment.
I kind of want it both ways. Stanley,
well, I kind of do. I kind of don't want her picked up in the first place. Like you said, they ought to be out hunting people that are real criminals instead of an old woman who's been here. Instead of an old woman who's been here 47 years and was doing what she was instructed to do. And I will also go back to what I said. If Americans are hurt in this process, now, if the woman was a criminal, I'd say get rid of her. But if she has been playing by the rules that were given to her, her husband is a U.S. citizen, her daughter is a U.S. citizen, she should not be deported. Okay, she's been here so long. You need to cut her an exception because Americans will be hurt. I do not want. Okay, don't interrupt. I do not want Americans harmed in this process in any way, shape, or form. And if the administration needs to bend over backwards to keep the lady here so her daughter and her husband aren't harmed, do it.
Well,
they're not that many. They're not that many. What now?
Can I say something now?
I guess so.
Well, if there's a few mistakes made, then I think it's okay for the overall greater good.
I have a zero tolerance for mistakes. If there are mistakes made, inevitably fix them.
Well, that's because you're a military man.
Okay, you know what? Well,
in the real world,
the president is a military man, except he's a civilian. Fix the problems. Americans should.
Well, they are
Americans,
fixing the problem.
they are not fixing the problem if they're hurting Americans.
But she wasn't really an American, Stanley.
I don't care about any of that.
Maybe she
Like I
missed
said,
one of her court dates.
apparently you
or
are
something.
past the point of actual cognizance.
Are you,
I do not
are
want
you sure?
I do not want her husband hurt. I do not want her daughter hurt. Both are American citizens, and
No one
if she's
get
got
hurt if they
and if
don't
she's
resist.
got grandkids, I do not want her grandkids who are U.S. citizens hurt.
No one
If
gets
she
hurt
isn't,
if they
if
don't
she is
resist.
not a citizen, but it'll harm Americans in any way, shape, or form by deporting her, especially since she doesn't have a criminal record and she was doing what the immigration judge or the immigration
Stanley, she
magistrate.
got vetted.
God damn it!
Good
If you
deal.
keep interrupting me, I won't be able to finish.
She
Americans
got vetted,
not be
Stanley.
Americans should not be harmed in any way, shape, or form by this deportation process, ever. Zero tolerance for mistakes. People's lives are at stake.
Yeah, including the farmer hiring children growing illegal
Okay,
marijuana. He was hurt.
Okay, that's drunken. That's drunken whataboutism. This woman harmed
No,
no one.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
That American was hurt
Okay, this
for
is
hiring
literally.
underage
You are
all that
literally.
shit.
You are burping bullshit while you're drinking. The woman
So that
harmed no
didn't
one.
happen.
Americans should not be harmed under any circumstances. If they are, fix it.
Well, the American hiring illegal
I don't
immigrant
care about
children,
anything
underage
else.
kids,
I don't care about any
was
of that.
hurt.
We're not talking about any of that. Stick to the topic.
No,
And
stick to actual events
Slick Rick, I don't
happening
belong.
before your eyes.
Slick Rick, nothing's happened before my eyes. You're so drunk, it's a hallucination on your part.
Yeah, okay.
Slick Rick, I don't belong on Bob's panel. I'm good in the audience, and I don't listen that often. I'm not getting up on a 9-person panel, battling back and forth to make points. I'm kind of beyond that, unless it's necessary. I love. As a matter of fact, Bob was in my chat yesterday morning for a little bit. But I don't even go up on CT's channel that much anymore. I've just got these huge panels with everybody screaming back and forth. it's entertaining it's entertaining
I'm
from
not
the chat.
into that either, Stanley.
It's not really that fun to be up on the panels.
They thought would happen, called the storm. And that would be the day, all this awful stuff that we in the world, the pedophile cabals, all this stuff. And then there would be a moment called the storm where Trump would arrest and presumably execute everyone conservatives didn't like. I mean, it would be people in the Democratic Party, in Hollywood, in banking. People like Tom Hanks and Oprah would be sent to Guantanamo Bay for military tribunals. And so then after that, for everyone left behind, life would be pretty sweet. They believed that this cabal was responsible for all the evil in the world, all the wars. It was holding back all the cures for all the diseases. And as you mentioned, that basically the cabal created the concept of debt. And you might say, who would
I'll be wrapping this up in about half an hour.
really believe this stuff? But we know that on January 6th, Ashley Babbitt, who died that day, she thought that day was the storm. There was a guy who was part of the mob who had just bought a new car, and someone said, "How can you afford that?" And he said, "Don't worry, the storm's almost here." QAnon, I think, was powerful because, in part, it offered people sort of excuses or some relief in their lives that the system or the economy or the government wasn't giving them.
In your book, you talk about meeting a QAnon believer who had terminal cancer. I think it was at a rally. Can you tell me that story?
Absolutely. I mean, this is someone who, at one of the first QAnon rallies I went to, he said, I have terminal cancer and I'm too poor to afford, or excuse me, I should say, he said, I have cancer and I'm too poor to afford the treatments for it. And in all likelihood, it will kill me relatively soon. But the good news is that because Trump is going to bring on the storm, he's going to take down this cabal that's been holding back the cure for cancer. And, soon enough, I'll be back in action and my cancer will be cured. And so in that way, I saw a woman.
I actually been to Oprah Winfrey's house in Colorado.
You been to it or did you pass it?
No, you have to ride, what do you call them, things, those trellises or whatever, cable line. You have to ride one of those up there to get to it.
A cable car?
Yeah, cable
I know,
car.
Yeah, I know it like a ski lift.
Yeah.
Or
there you go.
Or is it a ski lift or a tram or something?
Yeah, it's like a ski lift. You ride it up and you get out. It's actually a pretty spectacular place. It looks like it was carved right out of the mountain. You got like a big medieval gate up there, shit like that.
Yeah, must be nice.
Who said, my child has an intellectual disability. He's getting mistreated in school, but the cabal is holding back the cure for autism and Trump's going to find it. And so it really reached into people's hearts, it really in places where they were most vulnerable and offered them something.
When you met these people, if I ask you what were they like, I mean, they're different people, but what were they like?
Yeah, I mean, I think what would surprise people about QAnon believers is that I think we're used to the Q shaman, the guy in the paint and the horns, or like the January 6th mob, and these people who just look like lunatics. But often they were otherwise totally normal people and very affable. They were totally happy to talk with me about QAnon. I mean, there was a woman I interviewed before the riot really started at January 6th who was totally nice and said, well, I'm here in DC for January 6th. And also I'll be going up to Comet Ping Pong to see the underground child tunnels that I believe exist there. She's a very nice person. And then she went and caught a criminal charge for her role in the riot. So there was a way that these people they exist in the world, they have jobs, but they also just have this, and frankly, a sort of derangement, or they exist in another reality.
At its peak, how big was QAnon? How many people are we talking about believing in some version of this conspiracy?
So there has been some polling on this, and one that struck out to me was a 2021 poll by PRRI, which found that 16% of people, of Americans, believe that there is a sort of a pedophile cabal that runs the world, and 22% believe that the storm is coming. That is a huge number of people.
Well, when you hear polls like that, how literally do you take them? Because I sometimes wonder about being called by a pollster, just like as a random person, like, do you believe there's a satanic pedophile cult running the world? And like, yeah, I don't really want to be talking to this person. Sure, I believe, I never know if I should really believe that almost 1 out of 5 of the people I met believed that in a real way, or they're signaling or having fun or not thinking about it.
Yeah, I think in my head, I kind of subtract a couple points from the higher numbers and say perhaps, these are people who, what does the storm mean to them? Or maybe they're liberals who believe that Donald Trump runs the pedophile cabal and that don't really fit into the QAnon framework. But I do think, really rigorous, things that have said, are you a QAnon believer, have found, a couple percentage points of people.
So QAnon begins on very esoteric online message boards. It migrates to social media, but for a while, we're mostly talking about random people on the internet stumbling on this thing and getting involved in this strange subculture. But tell me about the way it begins to get picked up by influential people, notable people in the MAGA or sort of right-wing influencer movement.
Sure. I mean, it is the the power of QAnon, I think, is that it grew from such a small point. A couple posts on 4chan that people initially were saying, this is ridiculous. Even the people there discounted them. But then because I think it reached sort of an emotional resonance with people, it starts growing. As you said, it gets on YouTube where someone like Roseanne Barr or the former baseball player Kurt Schilling picks it up. And from there, it keeps growing. You have people, picking up the ideas. Alex Jones at InfoWars, who's obviously a huge vector and a kind of a crossover moment between conspiracy theorists and the broader MAGA movement. He starts getting into it. He starts interviewing like the QAnon experts who are talking about how great it is. So QAnon is bubbling, and it gets a big boost in 2019 from the death of Jeffrey Epstein. But then it really, with the pandemic, you can look at it and you can see all of these conditions that would lead a conspiracy theory to get really big. People are at home a lot more, so they have more time on the internet. People are understandably very frustrated with the state of the world, and they want answers. And one of the things that is offering answers is the world of QAnon.
The pandemic is a moment, the writer Anna Merlin has called this conspiracy singularity, that things begin to cohere into one overwhelming set of ideas.
And as you said, I mean, the elites, the government is reaching into your life in a particular way that in a way, a direct way that it probably was not in the past. Your kid's school is closed. You may have lost your job or you have to wear a mask. And so in this way, I think it bred a lot of anger at the government and elites. And people say, and then QAnon says, well, that Dr. Fauci guy, he's just not maybe a busybody to you. He's actually part of a very sinister group. And this isn't just kind of a thing that happened to us that we all have to live through. There are these specific people who caused it, and we can go get them.
One thing that began happening with QAnon is that not just influencers, but Donald Trump himself began sending signals that he was hearing them, that maybe he agreed with them, that maybe this was true. How would you describe that relationship between Trump himself and QAnon?
Sure. So for QAnon believers, acknowledgement from Trump is like the most important thing, because they're in their lives and people are saying, this thing you believe is so dumb. How could you believe that? And then but it's all based around Trump. So if Trump said it's real, then they're confirmed. And so initially they were saying, oh, he used the number 17 or he waved his hand like a Q. They were so desperate for this. And so he started getting asked about this in the 2020 election, and people would say, well, what an interviewer would say, what do you think about QAnon? These are the people who think you're after the pedophile cabal. And, isn't that ridiculous? And he would say,
I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very hard, but I know nothing about it.
And, just from QAnon believers I talked to, that really improved their faith in QAnon and helped them continue holding on to it for a while. And then you also have Trump associates like Kash Patel, who in the case of True Social, Trump's social network, when it was launching, Kash Patel said,
I think people are having fun with Q. And I think also that, I don't really follow him. We try to incorporate it into our overall messaging scheme to capture audiences, because whoever that person is has certainly captured a widespread breadth of the MAGA and the America First movement.
Basically says, I want this to be a home for things like QAnon.
So the promise of QAnon in this whole period is there will eventually be the storm. A lot of what you're seeing happening in the Trump administration, a lot of the flailing around, a lot of the apparent chaos. Behind it, there is a plan. Trust the plan is one of the big watch terms of QAnon. Then you have the 2020 election. Donald Trump loses. He has his own conspiracy theory about whether he lost, but he loses. There is no storm. January 6th happens. People are arrested for it. They do storm the Capitol, but they do not take over the government. What happens to QAnon after that?
Right. So this is the biggest challenge for QAnon. I mean, the entire point of QAnon was the only way we can take on the pedophile cabal is if Donald Trump is elected. That's why the military recruited them, they believe, and then he loses. And so January 6th was sort of, a lot of people had pinned their hopes on that being the storm, and then it didn't happen. And so then they kept thinking, well, maybe all these troops are in D.C. for the inauguration to arrest Biden. And that didn't happen. And I talked to a QAnon believer the day of the inauguration who said, I threw up. I was so upset that suddenly, as Biden put his hand on the Bible, it became clear to me that this wasn't going to happen. And so QAnon kind of stumbles along there. Q comes out and basically says, stop talking about Q. keep talking about the cabal. Stop talking about Q so much, essentially because people have realized that we're lunatics if you talk about Q or where we go on, we go all our slogans. But keep the ideas going. And so from there, QAnon sort of gets subsumed in a way into the broader Republican Party. We can think about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a hardcore QAnon believer at the time. I mean, I've looked at her posts. I mean, she wasn't someone who just posted Q a couple times. She was like deep in it. And so now, you know, she's one of the most prominent members of the House. She's a huge fundraiser. So a lot of these people, they kind of take off the QAnon outfit, but they still keep thinking in that way.
Right,
so you mentioned a few minutes ago that during this period, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Yeah, MTG is kind of a nut too. She's like an AOC version of the right. You know what I'm talking about?
No, she's not an AOC version of the right.
Yeah, she is.
I don't know. You know what? You know what? I think you are probably closer to Marjorie Taylor Greene than AOC is.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't like her.
Okay, I'm not talking about like. I'm talking about nuts. AOC is nowhere near as nutty as Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, I'm afraid you are wrong. Okay, you can have your opinion, but I've not heard AOC talk about Jewish space lasers yet. Okay, dude, I will not. Dude, you know what? You are a drunken muddle. Okay, your points are just kind of swirling around at the bottom of the glass, and you're hopping. You are hopping from one point to another. You can't hold a thought without crashing into the next thought. It makes for very disturbing conversation.
Well, generally, you gotta admit that those are nuts.
Generally, one drunk person and one sober person doesn't make for good conversation.
Well, maybe you should order some beer, homie.
You know what? I'm in Savannah, and my father's coming to pick me up in half an hour. So no beer for me.
No drinking for Stanley today.
I
maybe
will
next
survive.
time, homie. But you got like Stanley.
Yes.
Stanley, not even the establishment Democrats, not Pelosi or Schumer or any of those motherfuckers will endorse Mandami outright.
So what?
What does that
He's not running. He's running for mayor of New York, not Congress.
Well, you know, we all love New York, so.
Okay, you do realize that neither of the two, even Chuck Schumer, I don't even know if Chuck Schumer lives in New York City. It does not matter. He didn't need their endorsements to win the Democratic nomination. So I think he'll be okay.
You think that's the right direction for the Democrat Party, Stanley?
I think that's for New Yorkers to decide. I don't have the problems with him. Okay, I'd like to finish answering your question. I would like to finish answering your question. I don't see the dire circumstances that other people seem to see.
Well, I'm just saying, do you agree with the whole AOC, Bernie Sanders, Mandami extremist side of the Democrat Party?
They are no more extreme than MAGA.
You think so?
Oh, I know so. There's a lot of horseshoe politics. Okay, I don't know why I don't know. You're doing a solid snake. You ask a question and then you move on without waiting for the answer. Okay, I don't have a problem. I think I'm not really I'm not a democratic socialist. for several reasons, but I don't think Mamdani will do any more harm to New York City than Trump is doing to the United States.
What harm has Trump did to the United States?
Well, for one thing, he's arresting people who've been here for 47 years. He's children who are U.S. citizens are getting deported along with their illegal mothers, instead of children, U.S. citizens, being kept in their native country where they were born. I don't agree. Okay, I need to finish. I don't agree with Trump deploying the National Guard to Los Angeles. I don't think it was necessary. They've already sent 2,000 of the 4,000 back already. ICE went into MacArthur Park in Los Angeles, wound up detaining a bunch of American citizens. Trump is wreaking havoc. And that's we're not going to even talk about the flip-flopping he's doing with tariffs.
I haven't heard about any natural born citizens being
okay. Well, then you don't. Then you are not doing your homework.
Can you provide proof? That's all I'm asking.
Yep.
We're natural born
you
citizens.
do realize 4 or 5 days a week or more I actually read the news for the show. I don't have to make it up. I do news.
I get a lot of news too.
I do news stories every day. So yes, I can provide.
I haven't heard about any natural born citizens
you don't hear
being detained.
You don't. Okay, you're not going to hear it on Fox and Friends.
Where do you hear about it at?
New York Times, Washington Post, and Ground News, probably, if I go look.
Natural born citizens being detained.
Okay, and yeah, one of the kids is a cancer patient.
Oh, you mean that one was a legal immigrant and they sent him back?
Okay, the mother was an illegal immigrant. The children were U.S. citizens. U.S. citizen. Okay, motherfucker, you're gonna let me finish. U.S. citizens should not be harmed under any circumstances, even if their mother is illegal or their wife is illegal or their husband is illegal. U.S. citizens should suffer zero harm in this deportation process. If you have to make an exception to not hurt the American citizen, do it.
So where all the natural born citizens being locked
I don't
up
care about
again?
any. I don't care about any.
You can't prove it.
If exceptions need to be made, make them.
I think every non-natural born citizen should become under scrutinization with all these.
Who gives a fuck what you think? Who cares what you think? I need you to address my point, which is under no
gonna wear do-rag, Stanley?
Under no circumstances shall a U.S. citizen be hurt, harmed, or even as much as disappointed. If that's going to happen, make an exception. Do not deport if it takes that. Now, if the person's a criminal, oh well. But as long as that person has done no harm or broken the law, make the exception.
Well, I agree for farm workers, and hadn't Trump been doing
I
that?
don't care whether you agree. My point is no U.S. citizen should be hurt.
But if they're not natural born, then they're not really a
I don't
US
care about natural
citizen.
born. I don't care. I don't care if they were born from a cow. If a U.S. citizen is harmed, make the exception.
Well, the problem is a lot of these so-called U.S. citizens have gotten in a lot of trouble, like that Jamaican guy.
Okay, I literally said, if the person is a, I literally said, if the person is, okay, this motherfucker's just going to drone on. If the person is a criminal, that changes things. Otherwise, no U.S. citizen should be harmed.
Well, none of the ones I know are.
Well, 12th man, you get all your, you get all your news from Fox and Friends, so you don't know much.
I know actual people that
I don't give a shit who you know. That's anecdotal.
No one's talking about shipping my therapist back to Slovakia.
Okay, why, you know, I asked Ryan the other day, why do you have to put yourself in the middle of every news story? Is it a white thing? Do white people need to be at the center of everything?
Why now you're mad because my therapist?
Oh, I'm not mad. I'm not. Oh, dude, you think I'm mad? Why would you think that? I don't care enough to be mad. I'm just curious why, when I'm talking about something totally different, you have to tell me about your therapist.
Yeah, she's like a priest.
I don't care about your therapist. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Well,
stop putting your. Why do you and your therapist have to be in the middle of me talking about U.S. citizens being harmed?
Maybe your 90-year-old Cuban woman was.
I don't care about that. What does a 90-year-old Cuban woman have to do with my point?
Well, you was talking about that old ass woman a while ago. But you're mad about.
You know what? This is my big disappointment. All these white males up here wanting to come up here all drunk and shit, talking bullshit, can't hold their own in any form of a higher level conversation, but yet they want to talk about all the crime in the hood. Dude, you can barely hold two thoughts in your head at one time or connect two thoughts together for relevance, but you want to worry about what's going on in the hood? Disappointing.
I don't give a fuck what's going on in the hood. I don't live there, motherfucker.
Bottom line is you're having trouble. You're having trouble holding two thoughts together. They keep crashing into each other.
Is that what you think?
Oh, no. Dude, I'm stone cold sober and you're 3 sheets to the wind. Are you sure you're thinking?
I'm not 3 sheets to the wind. Only
dude,
two,
you are drunker than the beer can that's holding the beer.
You're a funny motherfucker, Stanley.
Yep, that I am.
I'd have kicked your ass in the Navy.
So,
and you would have been buried under the brig.
So, in not the background, but not the foreground compared to Q, there's this other thing happening where there actually is a very rich and powerful.
Yeah, well, maybe you don't understand what the penalty is for striking an officer. Your ass will go to jail.
Person who has been arrested
just
for
like striking an ICE agent, Stanley. Federal crime.
Please see. This is what I'm talking about. What does an ICE agent have to do with you striking me if we were in the Navy?
I wouldn't strike you, Stanley. I just
you literally just said you would.
I'd wrestle your ass. That'd be fun.
No, you wouldn't be doing anything of the sort. But you don't, dude. I literally, we were down on the mess decks having a meeting or something, and I've literally seen chiefs E7s put themselves between, the little E4 and like a senior chief or some officer. Dude, you are done if you strike a superior officer. You are literally done.
Well, I don't think you'd been my superior officer.
Oh, I bet I would have.
Or sex trafficking. And then he's found dead mysteriously. Tell me a bit about the theories that begin to build around that and how these things converge.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most effective conspiracy theories really have a kernel of truth at their center, where they have something that is genuinely very weird or unprecedented or uncomfortable or, a crime in this case. And in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, even from the start of QAnon or its precursor conspiracy theories like Pizzagate, Epstein was really, a lot of material was drawn from him because it was a case of, someone who was sex trafficking, who had powerful connections. And so they already were very interested in Jeffrey Epstein. And then when he was indicted and then later found dead, that made it just explode, because this was a case where you didn't come off like a crazy person if you said, don't you think it's weird what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? What was he doing? How did he have all these connections to people like Bill Clinton or Donald Trump? And from there, then you can kind of recruit people into believing in something more outlandish like QAnon. And so really, I would say Epstein's death, even before the pandemic, was really a huge crossover moment for QAnon in terms of getting new recruits, because people really were legitimately unsettled by it.
So David French, my colleague, had this good line where he called the Jeffrey Epstein theories the thinking man's QAnon. And I get that, because the thing about Epstein is that it is weird. And there are things in it that are hard to explain. And there are things here that really happened, right? This was not a bunch of cryptic, Delphic writings on an internet message board. So maybe let's start this section this way. If you were trying to explain the Jeffrey Epstein story, not any conspiracies, just the story, to somebody who didn't really know anything about it, how would you do it?
Sure. I mean, so there in let's say the early aughts, there's this guy named Jeffrey Epstein who is fabulously wealthy. People don't know why he's so wealthy, really. He is just leagues beyond, he's ostensibly had some time in finance in Manhattan, but he's like leagues beyond in terms of wealth, what you would expect that to be. He has an enormous home in Manhattan. He has a mansion in Palm Beach, Florida. He has a ranch out west. He has a private jet. He has an island. I mean, that's it all comes back to the island. I mean, he's very, very wealthy, and people write articles. How is this guy so wealthy? Where does he get all these connections? And then in, I believe, 2005, a mother calls the police in Palm Beach and says, my teenage daughter said that this man, Jeffrey Epstein, offered her money to give him a massage, and he masturbated. And there was this, essentially a sex crime has happened here. The police take it very seriously. They start investigating. They find many girls who were given this treatment by Epstein, and they start wondering, why is this guy so well connected? Why is he, they're surveilling him at the airport as he takes off on the private jet. And then when they start actually trying to prosecute him, it seems like he has a lot of friends in high places. He has really high-powered lawyers. Prosecutors on the case are being kind of shuffled around, moved away. There's a sense of, don't look at this too closely. And then ultimately he signs a plea deal that has been called, the deal of the century, that in exchange for pleading guilty to a couple of these cases in Palm Beach, he will, he eventually ends up on house arrest. And it's been said that, what they had on him could have put him away for life. Instead, the federal and local authorities agree that, they're just not going to prosecute him anymore beyond that.
So there's some other weird dimensions of plea deal. There's immunity for co-conspirators, right? And there's something that comes up later that I think is very, of all the things that always piqued my interest in this, the prosecutor, the local DA or whomever it is, Alex Acosta, is he later becomes Donald Trump's labor secretary. But there's a report in the Daily Beast that when he's being vetted for labor secretary, he's asked by Trump officials, what's up with this sweetheart deal you gave Epstein? And again, this is in a Daily Beast report, and it's not coming from Acosta himself. It's coming from some unnamed Trump official, but apparently Acosta says, oh, I was told he belongs to intelligence. Back off. And if you take that at face value, it adds this other dimension here that somehow he is an intelligence asset, somehow he is protected. And not only that, but the government knows about all this, right?
Was
but also weirdly for where this story goes.
It's your fellow Trump voters. They're the ones who are making a big stink out of it. This story is as much about the MAGA base as it is about Jeffrey Epstein.
Trump administration knows about all this.
You wish,
so,
Stanley.
What did you make
I don't wish.
So the Jeffrey Epstein intelligence connection.
Did you hear what they told
No,
Trump?
you don't know.
Yes, absolutely. I know. Obviously, I know more than you.
Well,
How is it that I know more about how MAGA reacted to Epstein than you do? Have you been sick? Have you been snowed in up in Alaska?
Trump has a 52% approval rating.
No, he doesn't.
Yes,
See, what you're doing is you don't get out much because apparently you live in the part of Alaska where you're apparently you live in the part of Alaska that's snowed in 365 days a year, and your only news outlet is Fox and Friends. So your friends at Fox and Friends are lying to you. Trump has not been over 50% maybe once before he got in office. His ass isn't at 52%. He's closer to 42%. You need to take that old TV set and change the channel to another news source other than Fox and Friends.
85% of Trump voters said they would vote for him again. That's still enough to be Democrats.
That's why I say Trump is so divisive. Motherfucker, that's the people who voted for Trump. I'm talking overall.
Yeah, I'm talking overall people who
No,
voted
you're not
for
talking
Trump.
overall. What you're doing,
85% of Trump
what you're doing is that MAGA swamp has you stuck up to your knees in the quicksand.
Yeah. Good luck in the midterm, Stanley.
Hey, I don't give a fuck. Hey. I hope MAGA takes more seats, and I hope they get real overconfident. I hope they get real overconfident like they are now and fuck up so bad that there's no way that MAGA will go the way of MAGA's going to get so overconfident that they're going to go the way of the Tea Party. And you know what? I'm going to say, I told you so. I've been saying I told you so a lot over the last month, but I have a feeling I'm going to be saying a lot of I told you so's between now and the end of this year.
No, you're not.
Oh, I think I am.
And then
look at the MAGA tail wagging the president of the United States, and this motherfucker is up. This motherfucker is up overnight writing like 5-paragraph truths, trying to get the MAGA base to heal. They're nipping at his ankles, his fat little ankles.
Yeah, well, you're gonna watch and lose.
It's really interesting because it kind of flares up. You might wonder, it ties into a lot of the mystery about him because you say, why is this guy so wealthy? Why does he have all these locations? Why does he have all these really high-powered connections? Why does he seem to sort of move through the world with ease, inexplicably? And so people start to wonder, that intelligence remark in the Daily Beast report has really been scrutinized. People start to wonder, is this guy running like a honeypot? Does he blackmail powerful people? Do they, let's say, and this is pure conjecture, do they come to the island and he plies them with underage girls or adult women? And does he videotape them perhaps and then use that as blackmail material? And so, and is that how he then got so wealthy? And so that idea then becomes kind of a key part of the Epstein story. And the other thing I would say is the intelligence connection is then used to explain, for people who scrutinize this, how he then managed to get off so easily. Was Jeffrey Epstein an intelligence operation that then, in Palm Beach sort of ran off the rails and then they essentially tried to cover it up?
Here's something I've been wondering about the story. So the Acosta dimension of it, it's not like Acosta disappeared from public view after this. He became labor secretary for Donald Trump in the first term. He ended up having to resign as labor secretary because the Epstein story kept growing and it was becoming a distraction. But he gives a press conference about all this. And obviously, if somebody told him Epstein was an intelligence source, it would probably be helpful to Acosta or helpful to the rest of us if he would say, well, here's who told me that. But Acosta hasn't, to my knowledge, he doesn't really admit this ever having happened. Maybe it never happened, right? Maybe this initial Daily Beast report, which is all unnamed, maybe that's the thing that's untrustworthy. But what do you actually substantively make of it? Like, what is your hypothesis of what we should think about that comment? Like, Acosta just got named to the board of directors of Newsmax. Like, he exists out there in the world. People can ask him questions.
Yeah, that is a great question. You would think that in the way that this sort of imploded his career or has haunted him forever, this plea deal, why doesn't he come out and say, well, basically, I was told by the head of this intelligence agency to leave it alone, and so it's not really my fault. But as you said, he hasn't vanished. He's certainly not talking about it. I think, there are a lot of weird intelligence connections. Ghislaine Maxwell, who was sort of Epstein's friend and lieutenant, her dad had a ton of intelligence connections and was involved in sort of various intelligence operations. Blah, 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 blah. I think part of the challenge is, and part of why this story is so interesting to people, is because unless these secret files come out that may or may not exist, it's really unknowable.
Another dimension of the Epstein story, you mentioned his wealth is a bit mysterious for what he appeared to be doing. He was sort of maybe a money manager to some degree, maybe offering tax and estate planning advice, but he seems richer than that should have been able to offer him. But the other thing is, he also seems better connected than that should have been able to offer him. Again, one thing that I think is somewhat complicated for this the way this
Tulsi Gabbard won't have a job by the end of August. She'll be gone.
Oh, really? She just turned over evidence of Obama committing treason. I don't think she's going anywhere.
You know what? Tulsi Gabbard, basically, you'll believe anything, won't you?
Well, I guarantee you, Pam
You actually believe that Tulsi Gabbard has Obama cold on treason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obama, go ahead, say it. Go ahead, say it. Obama's going to jail. Obama is going to jail.
I can read you the actual text.
Hey, don't strain yourself there, bub. Obama is going nowhere. Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I'm not gonna bet money, but I'd be surprised if she has a job in a month.
Yeah, that's why you don't have one.
Dude, I have not heard from Tulsi Gabbard ever since she pissed Trump off. What did Trump say? He said something like that.
You don't pay attention.
Okay, dude, I pay close attention. That's why I know that all I know is that apparently you and Tulsi talk every night, whispering sweet nothings long distance. and she will have time. She will have more time for you at the end of August. I guarantee.
Guaranteed she
She's
pays
gonna.
attention to me.
Tulsi Gabbard is gonna be there helping you winterize the place because she's gonna have a lot of time on
It's
her hands.
already winter.
Begins to evolve, or the way that the ideas around it begin to evolve, is somebody who was very well
Tulsi's
connected
gonna be
to
there to put her
was Donald
special
Trump,
touch.
and somebody who appeared to have known early on that Epstein liked young women was Donald Trump. Tell me about the Donald Trump-Epstein relationship.
Yeah, so I mean, Donald Trump was friends with Epstein for a long time. I mean, there's a video of them. They're kind of on the side of a dance floor, and they're sort of whispering to each other. They sort of seem to be saying, you know, she's hot. You know, maybe I'll ask her to dance later. And then there's this quote Trump gave for a profile of Epstein. One of these profiles that's saying, how is this guy? This guy seems to be a billionaire. No one can explain his wealth. And Trump says, you know, many people say Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm paraphrasing here, but people say Jeffrey Epstein likes young women, you know, maybe even more than me. I mean, very young.
I'm going to give the whole quote here. He says, this is New York Magazine in 2002. Trump says, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. It's a little odd.
A couple of
it is. I mean, it kind of, you think back to, you know, how people would talk about Harvey Weinstein before Me Too. And it's kind of this weird, like, open secret that people will nod to.
But how does, I guess one question I have as this begins to merge all together, and Trump, the savior of QAnon, the scourge of pedophilic elites, but maybe the only person on record as early as 2002 saying that he knows Jeffrey Epstein has a thing for young women. That doesn't seem like a guy you would put your trust in to be outside of this and your savior from it. That seems like a guy who might be part of this thing, whatever it is.
Well, you know, Ezra, you've got to think about this like QAnon. I mean, this makes Trump the perfect guy to take it all down. In their case, you're right.
I am going to say one thing. These guys are stretching this like razor thin. You know what? To use an old phrase from back in when Trump was campaigning back in 2016, this is locker room talk. These guys are fucking acting like, you know, they're the hall monitors here. I think they're milking this a bit.
Right. I mean, it is kind of crazy. Their rationalization is that, let's say we look at this video of Trump hanging out with Epstein. Well, perhaps he was going inside, you know, he was looking inside Epstein's operation to bring it down from the inside. Or you say, well, why would he pick Alex Acosta, the guy involved in this nice plea deal Epstein got? Why would he make him the head of the Labor Department, which has a ton of oversight over human trafficking? Well, Trump was maybe trying to bring attention to the plea deal and to get it overturned by elevating Acosta's profile. That's how they see it.
We know Trump is subtle, if nothing else. He does things through misdirection and symbolism. But I want to stand what's strange about Epstein for a couple of minutes. So Epstein is really well connected. He is friendly, not just with Donald Trump. He is friendly with Bill Gates. He's friendly with Bill Clinton. He hosts these dinners for scientists and innovators, right? He has lots of friends who are very, very rich. And so the idea that begins to emerge, as I understand it, is that Epstein is running something like what we would now describe as like the Diddy parties, but for the most powerful people in society, right? That he on his island is flying back and forth with the most powerful and most wealthy people in the world for these pedophilic orgies. And that it is in the union of these two things that the cabal like begins to take a shape. That Epstein knew everybody. He knew what they had done. Maybe he's doing it in part for blackmail, for intelligence reasons. Maybe just he has the files on them. And so Epstein is a threat to them and the whole cabal. And when he begins to get brought down, now this whole thing is endangered. And the fact that he ends up dead in a cell, reportedly by suicide, begins to look to people very fishy, right? Is that basically the structure of the theory here?
That is the crux of it. The idea that he finally has this federal case in which he could potentially flip, or, maybe all of this evidence will at minimum come out at trial, that someone perhaps either he's killed in his cell, or someone, which I think is maybe more believable, that someone says, hey, Jeffrey, we're going to create the circumstances for you to take things into your own hands. That is sort of the Epstein story summed up.
So I want to hold on that last bit, because again, this is where there are things that are weird. Epstein has already tried to kill himself in prison. It has been the psychologist or the person in charge of mental health there said, this guy should not be allowed in a cell by himself. He's a suicide risk. He is left in a cell by himself. There's irregularities around which cameras are on and off and whether or not they're working, irregularities around whether or not the guards are watching or not watching. And on the one hand, I think that if you don't believe DMVs are run well, you should not believe prisons are run well. I think all evidence we have about prisons is they're run, in fact, terribly. And on the other hand, for such a high-value prisoner who there's a lot of interest in, it's strange. Like, I get why people think it's strange. I think it is strange. You're somebody who studies conspiracy theories that typically I think you don't believe. Where do you fall on this? Like, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, if I can get a little kind of wild and woolly with it, I mean, this is one that I'm quite suspicious of. I think, as you said, I mean, I'm used to really kind of going through the guts of conspiracy theories and saying, well, I think we can chalk that up to sort of human incompetence or just sort of a coincidence. But in this case, I think there's a lot of smoke. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything that really what you described as sort of like the mainline Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theory, I don't think has been substantiated in a lot of ways. But I think also there is a lot of weirdness. And I think we're at risk of discrediting ourselves with the general public if as media or, the government or whatever, in terms of people who look into this, if you just say, nope, he killed himself, case closed, there's nothing weird here.
I think I want to, just like to be fair to the other side of this, try to give my best version of how you would explain most of this away and see what you think of it. So Epstein seems to have been very, very good at ingratiating himself with very rich people, something in between a money manager and a con man, and that he was living sort of beyond his actual means. But at the end of the day, when people captured him and he was put in prison, the Epstein estate was not actually that large. So it's not like he was sitting on billions of dollars. So maybe you can explain that as con man work. The fact that all these rich people know each other and fly in planes together is just kind of what their networks look like. And that, yes, Epstein was a pedophile. And he, working with Maxwell, did groom young women and assault them. And that he was just kind of doing that himself. And there isn't that much evidence. I mean, there's, smoke around Prince Andrew, but we don't really know what was going on there. And maybe this looks really weird. And there's not that much there. The weird truth of this is that there's not all that much important order behind it. That's the best account I can give in which there's not much there. What do you think of that?
I think that's very possible. I mean, I think there are, when I look at conspiracy theories, there are often cases where I say, maybe this guy has weird art you don't like. Maybe he made a couple off-color remarks. But it's very possible that, then you're making it a jump to that this guy is, running a child sex dungeon or what have you. There's kind of a logical leap there. And I think it's very possible that, Jeffrey Epstein was a guy with a lot of powerful friends who was incidentally a pedophile, and that these powerful people were not involved with that aspect of his life. And maybe he got this sweetheart plea deal because he was just a rich guy in Palm Beach and they wanted to move on with it and sort of cover it up. Or, alternately, maybe there was this whole intelligence aspect to it. So I think that sort of question about, it could go either way, I think it is why, in part, there's so much pressure for the release of whatever the government can release.
Tell me about the role that Epstein and the Epstein files begin to play in the broader MAGA movement.
because specifically of the connection to Bill Clinton and by relation Hillary Clinton, they become really fixated on this idea that Jeffrey Epstein.
Here, I'm going to switch over. I got a couple things here. I take it this is the story that you're babbling about. Oh, 12th man is gone. Yeah, Gabbard claims Obama officials manufactured intelligence of 2016 Russian election interference. It'll go nowhere. Not really that concerned. Nothing in here does it say anything about Obama committing treason. So that's fake news that MAGA boy 12th man wants to spread. And too bad he's gone, because this video here says it's happening. ICE is now detaining American citizens. But I guess since Stanley, you really take precedent of what whites say. Epstein stuff is white culture. You know what? The reason I'm watching it, Ignat, is EAE. I watched yesterday on the show. We watched the introduction, which was actually pretty good. And then I figured, if anybody wants to watch the rest of it, I'll drop the link. Nobody really asked for it. But overnight, EAE said, hey, Stanley, you really got to watch it. There's some really, salacious stuff or good stuff or whatever. So far, it's been pretty underwhelming. So, I was just kind of watching it because I'm kind of wasting time till it cools off, because I'm going to help my father with some yard work. But it's still shit. I'm in Savannah. It's still like 96 degrees out there. Well, it got literally, J-Dub, EAE talked to me or texted me or posted in the Discord that, hey, you got to watch it. So I think he's just into conspiracy theories and stuff. So this is I want to see what lawyer Corbett has to say. He's saying ICE is now detaining American citizens. If he's talking about the Army vet, I don't think this is the same Army vet I'm thinking about. But let's see what he's got to say here. Attorney Corbett is another one. Sometimes he's kind of spot on. Sometimes he's, this guy's kind of hit and miss.
Go over this story from CNN about a U.S. citizen, an Army veteran, getting detained by ICE. Now, this is a concerning story, and I want to go right to it and read some of it from this CNN article. Fortunately, this young man was released by ICE, but after he had spent 3 days in detention.
3 days?
He should have not been detained at all. In fact, from what I can tell, there was no reasonable suspicion to even stop and talk to him, and no probable cause to detain him, and so on. And I recall a federal judge out in California saying that ICE had to observe what, again, we call reasonable suspicion to stop and to question someone, and probable cause to detain them or to search them. It looks like this young man was detained simply because he's Latino. All right, so I'm not saying a thing about deportations of people who are undocumented in the country.
Deacon Dave, are you really the one to point out people being go along to get along? Dude, what? I can't believe you're saying that. You are the king of respectability politics, and you're talking about go along to get along. I got you. You know what? You're mighty go along to get along when you're practicing your Spanish on Sis's channel now, aren't you? You're mighty go along to get along there.
That's the law. I'm an attorney. I'm an officer of the court. I support the law. That is the law. So long as they're getting their due process rights, so long as ICE is observing the law. In this case, it seems to be questionable. Now, I'm not an immigration attorney, but again, I do know a federal judge said recently that even with folks who are in the country undocumented, ICE has to observe the law regarding Terry stops. Unreasonable suspicion they must have. They must be able to articulate some reason why they are stopping and questioning somebody, and certainly probable cause requires that they be able to show based on facts and circumstances that someone committed a crime was committed, and that this person here is probably the one who committed it. That's what.
Oh, listen to this go along to get along simp. And sis is cool. What the fuck? Sis is cool. What is this, the fucking 1950s? What are you, little Leave It to Beaver? Sis is cool.
A federal judge said. All right, now, hey family, do you believe in the work we're doing? Does our content speak to you? Do you appreciate our in-depth legal analysis and political commentary from an African-American perspective? Do you believe it matters to our community? Then don't just watch from the sidelines. Please click that membership button and become a member of the 2% Club today. That's right, we need just 2% of our subscribers to become channel members. For just $4.99 a month, that's less than 20 cents a day, you'll help us keep creating powerful content that defends our democracy, demands justice, and develops a strong African-American community. But if you want more, at $9.99 a month, which is only 33 cents a day, you'll get access to exclusive members-only live streams, bonus content, and behind-the-scenes updates. And for just $14.99 a month, which is under 50 cents a day, our top-tier members get access to live Zone calls, strategy sessions, and a direct voice in shaping this movement. We're not just building a YouTube channel. Folks, we're building a movement based on righteousness and justice.
Hey,
just what our community needs.
Hold on one second.
In a time of
I support respectability too, but there's respectability and then there's respectability. And what I'm hearing is respectability with a skint knee. That's not my way of respectable. Oh, humble president. Oh, that is sweet. That is funny. That is funny.
Information
oh boy,
and division.
You know what?
So if you believe in what we're doing, click the membership button and join now. Become a member of the 2% Club today. Let's build something powerful together. I don't know that any of that occurred in this situation. This says a U.S. citizen and Army veteran was detained at an immigration raid and held for 3 days. His family scrambled to find him. So let's read some of this. George Ritas, I think that's how you pronounce his name. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. George Ritas, a 25-year-old Army veteran and father of two, had been planning his 3-year-old daughter's Minnie Mouse birthday party at the park for weeks. He would get her an inflatable bounce house, invite the whole family, and shower her with gifts and treats. She was excited for the fun party, and he was excited to see the smile on her face, he said. Those plans fell apart last week when Ritas, a U.S. citizen, was detained by federal immigration agents during an immigration raid and protests at a legal Southern California marijuana farm where he worked. Left injured and burned from pepper spray and tear gas, Ritas was detained for 3 days without explanation, he said. His wife, who couldn't reach him during his detention, was scrambling to find out where her husband had been taken. And Ritez missed the party he and his toddler had been dreaming about. Instead of seeing flickering birthday candles and hearing children's laughter on his daughter's birthday, the father found himself alone in a cell with bright lights that never turned off, his skin burning and limbs aching. As he laid on a thin mattress covering a cement slab, he wondered if he would ever see his family again. Man, this is something. That's why I said this story is concerning. It goes on to say, all I wanted was to be there for my daughter's birthday. I was so excited to watch her turn 3 and just enjoy her day and just watch her be happy for her day. Ritez told CNN, and it sucked not being there. The arrest unfolded on July 10th when federal immigration officers carried out large-scale raids at 2 glass house marijuana farms in Carpinteria, I think, and Camarillo, and arrested over 300. I don't speak Spanish, so I probably butchered those words. Part of an ongoing trend of immigration enforcement at work sites like farms and construction sites that have struck fear into immigrant communities. That day, Ritez says he woke up and drove to work like he would any other day, not knowing there was unrest at his workplace. When he arrived at the Glass House Farms in Camarillo, where he works as a contract security guard, he was met with throngs of protesters, cars piled up in the middle of the road, and people standing in the street. He made his way through the crowd and was confronted by a barricade of agents blocking anyone from going into Glass House, he recounted. The Department of Homeland Security said Immigration Customs Enforcement and U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers were executing warrants at the marijuana grow sites and were met with hundreds of protesters. He got out of his car and walked up to the agents to let them know he's an American citizen who's just trying to get to work. I didn't think it was going to be a problem for me to go to work, as long as I identified myself and let them know what I was trying to do, he said. The agents refused to listen to him, Ritez said, so he returned to his car. That's when he says the situation escalated. The agents surrounded his car and started yelling conflicting orders to get out of his car, reverse and park his car, according to the father. Ritez then reversed, trying to leave the tense scene, he said. Agents continued yelling, banged on his window, and pulled on his door, trying to get it open, he said. The uniformed federal agents eventually threw what appeared to be tear gas into the crowd of protesters, which blurred Ritez's vision and made him choke. I'm trying to leave. I'm trying to get out of here, Ritez said. He told agents in between gasping breaths. At that moment, one agent shattered his driver's side window and another sprayed pepper spray in his face, Ritez said, recalling feeling a piece of glass from the window cut his leg. Then they dragged him out of the car and threw him on the ground, pinning him down, he said. So this just sounds bad. I mean, this is a U.S. citizen and an Army veteran. Sounds like a good guy. I don't know. It doesn't sound like some sort of gang member or someone in the country legally and so forth. And why he was treated this way is just inexplicable, you know. I had one agent kneeling on my back and another one kneeling on my neck, said Ritez, who noted he had neck and back injuries from his 4-year Army service. And the guy served the country. Ritez recalled telling officers he couldn't breathe because of the pepper spray and tear gas, but he said they proceeded to put him in handcuffs and dragged him away without explaining what he was arrested for. The Department of Homeland Security would later accuse Ritez of assault, an allegation he vehemently denies. So, look, I've been practicing law for many years. I've represented many people who've been accused of assaulting law enforcement officers, and it is not uncommon for the law enforcement officer to rough up, assault my client or the defendant, and then accuse him of assaulting them. I don't know that happened here, but I have seen that more than on one occasion. All right. We do know that Ritez is innocent of all charges until he's proven guilty, but I don't even believe in this case he has been charged with the assault. That may be forthcoming, but he's still presumed innocent if that does happen. Ritez became one of a number of U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents detained or arrested in the tense raids amid the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, with some arrested without explanation and with no way to contact their families, immigrant advocacy groups say. Shows of force and clashes between immigration officers and protesters at raid sites have become periodical occurrences in the Los Angeles area as more people oppose the federal government's immigration enforcement. So he says, they never told me anything. An EMT wrapped Ritez's leg wound in gauze before the father was escorted into an unmarked SUV and taken to an empty field where there were federal agents from several agencies, Ritez said. Agents took his fingerprints and photos, and when Ritez asked why he was detained, the agents wouldn't answer him, he recounted. They never told me anything. I sat there for hours asking them why I was here, why I'm being arrested, and no one could give me an answer, Ritez said. No one even knew who arrested me or why they arrested me. No one knew what was going to happen to me or who I was even going to go with. So this was just a terrifying and horrible experience for this young man. And after 3 days in detention, they did cut him loose and they allowed him to leave. With no explanation, with nothing, just bye, you're free to go. And again, he is a U.S. citizen and Army veteran. So he served the country. So you got to ask, just why was he detained in the first place? Did they think he was trying to interfere?
Yeah, who in the audience can answer this question?
Security guarded that. I don't know if he was in uniform or not. So there are a number of questions here. But the very fact that he is a U.S. citizen and an Army veteran says a lot. So, you know, it's their word against his word at this point. They said he assaulted an ICE agent. He vehemently denies that. I don't know. I have no idea. So we'll see if they later on file a charge against him for assault, which is a pretty serious offense. And as I've said in the past, I strongly recommend that you do not intentionally assault a federal agent. And I also strongly recommend that you don't interfere with federal agents or state law enforcement from doing their job. Again, I've been representing people for years and years and years. So be careful not to do that. If you're going to protest, protest. But do it in a very safe way. Do not do anything, again, to harm federal agents, to interfere with them, or to give them any reason to harm you. All right? So this story is very, very, very troubling, to be honest with you, that a U.S. citizen was detained and shut down for 3 days like this. One has to just wonder, and this is what Justice Sotomayor and Justice Jackson have been warning us could happen, that the way things are going, none of our rights are protected. Now, fortunately, and I think it is fortunate, that the Trump administration did release this young man and he didn't get deported somewhere over in some foreign country. Thank God for that. But that could have happened. Okay, that could have happened. And from what I can tell, this young man should have never been detained in the first place. Coming to his job, trying to get into his work facility, there's no reasonable suspicion for anything there. Now, they were conducting a raid and you know, were probably on high alert and the adrenaline flowing, protesters and so forth. So in those kinds of situations, you know, things can happen. And that's why I always say we have to, when we're dealing with situations like that, we have to try to de-escalate the matter and be smart about it, especially if we're out there protesting or around people who are protesting. And protesting is a protected activity by the First Amendment, so long as it is peaceful. So long as it is peaceful, it is protected by the First Amendment. All right? So, yeah, we protest, and we need to protest. Let's just do it in a safe way. And let's not do anything to harm or hurt a federal agent or anyone else, because that is a really serious charge, really serious. I went over that in a previous video. I'm glad this young man made it home to his 3-year-old and his wife. I'm glad he's safe. I don't know what he's going to do from here. First of all, I presume he's going to have to wait to see if they bring this alleged assault charge. That's going to be the first thing, just to see if they follow up on that, or was that some subterfuge to try to intimidate him or something? I don't know, but I have certainly seen that happen. All right, so I wanted to bring you this troubling situation here with this young man. I really sincerely pray that everything turns out okay for him and his daughter and his wife and his family. All right. So, folks, when U.S. citizens are treated this way, we got to pay close attention to that. And by the way, we need to pay close attention also to how non-citizens are treated as well. All right. But especially U.S. citizens. I have for almost 2 decades been fighting to protect people's constitutional rights. And this young man, his constitutional rights, I don't know the circumstances. I weren't there, can't say, but I hope those officers observed reasonable suspicion and probable cause before they detained and arrested him. I hope they did that. All right, so I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. Thank you for watching this video. And remember, stay woke.
Okay. Some reason or another, I'm not sure. Let's see, this isn't fertility rate. I don't know. I'm just looking at this. This Black women are more likely to have only one child or 4 or more children compared to all. Black women, it looks just on the surface here, it looks like Black women and white women I don't think their fertility rates are that far different. 54% of Black men don't have kids, 55% of all men. I'll have to look this up. Let's see, see, Black versus white.